Nothing beats a
cool, refreshing sip of water.
Hello, Mario.
Oh my God!
GIRA, we coming for you.
New pre-stream ritual just dropped, chat. And that pre-stream ritual is called slapping my fucking chest in the mirror and just shouting, "I'm the one. I'm the fucking one," in the mirror. And at least for tonight, it's got me. At least for tonight, it's got me. But you know what I don't got? My mask on. And now I do. So here I am! Hi everyone, my name's Sev. I'm the president of the Wild Boy
Father,
Club.
why are you a robot?
The very large enjoyer of all things gaming, wrestling, not robots, and my stinky cat, who I need to show you all something fantastic, okay? I gotta show you all something great, because the fun thing is, Henry is starting to get into places that he shouldn't be getting into. He shouldn't be getting into. And I'm gonna show you one of the best places, because he's taken to laying down next to me while I work, and I just happened to snap the cutest photo of my little baby boy. Let me go and grab it real quick. Let me go and grab my boy real quick. Real quick. Is Henry being a sneaky, tricksy little kitty? Yeah, he's starting to get into places where he shouldn't be. I'm gonna show you that place right now. Give me just a second. Cause yeah, he's been starting to lay next to me over here. He was like 5 feet away from me when he was like sitting there, like like that right there is the table I usually put my consoles up on whenever I'm playing something on them, or like when I'm streaming them to you guys. And he's just kind of taken to it. And I feel like I'm gonna need to get something else, or I'm just gonna need to make more space on my computer desk for whenever I play a console, because I'm afraid that he's claimed the spot now. I'm afraid that he's claimed it. I'm afraid that he's claimed it a little bit. So I think next step really is to buy him a little bed for up there. That way he has a more comfy place to snooze while I do my thing. I don't know if I'll be able to fit anything up there, but I could definitely try. But yeah, hi everyone. Hello, Rain Sandu. Hello, Doomslayer. Welcome to tonight's Long Boy Club meeting. We are going to be, of course, I'm gonna turn on some music here real fast. I'm gonna leave Henry up just for like visual simulation for myself. So that way I have a nice, beautiful boy to look at while I talk your ears off and time out this robo filter. Because I'll be honest, chat, I don't know if this is the real me. I don't know if this is the real me anymore. I mean, it does say mask off, but really I don't know who wrote that there. Because it certainly wasn't me. It wasn't me at all. I definitely didn't write that there. Hold on just a second, I need to get music playing before I lose my train of thought, because hearing myself talk is really, really disorienting. Hold on. Okay. Got it. I got it. But yeah, hi chat. How are you all doing? Hopefully you are having a good day today. I got something very special in mind planned for tonight's Wrestling Empire stream. Because if you weren't here last time, I'll have to give you a little bit of a refresher, and I'll give it to you in the Monday Night Raw robot voice, unfiltered.
GIRA, we coming for you. Can you dig that, sucker?
GIRA, we coming for you, sucker! Oh no. No, don't make me think of it. Listen. The very best weird promo bit will always be, to me, Ahmed Johnson asking if you want to step up to Punchy. If you want to step up to Punchy, bring it on! Bake it on! Because ain't nothing in the world is gonna prepare you for the Sand Ripper! When you think about it, the Sand Ripper is cold as hell, because you're talking about a guy that can rip sand with his bare hands. No, I mean like, Steiner Math is a whole promo. I'm talking about just like little bits of a promo, right? I don't know. Ahmed Johnson stuff from a WWF Warzone on the PS1 is pretty up there. Do I need to pull them up again? I think I need to pull them up again. Hold on. Ahmed Johnson Warzone. Lest I remind you all of this.
You ready?
Hold on. Hold on, let me make sure that it... Okay. Need I remind you all of this?
You ready? What that stupid little grin off your face? Cause it's time to meet the real superstar of WWF. And I'm gonna beat you. And no one gonna come save your sorry carcass.
Just make sugar. You got plenty of insurance, punk.
Listen up, punk. That little ass body of yours can possibly deal with the ass
Rip my ass whooping.
in the ring. If you want to step up
To Punchy, bring it on.
I forgot to take my medication in the morning, and I'm in a real bad mood.
Always take your medication, chat.
Hey, if you want to know that, there ain't nothing between us. But
Hold on. Did you hear that?
hey, if you want to play like that, there ain't nothing between us.
Who is clapping in the background? Who is clapping in the background, chat? Do you hear that?
Hey, if you want to play like that, there ain't nothing between us but air and opportunity, boy. So go ahead.
What?
Bring your toys and get a ring. Because there ain't nothing on this earth
It's gonna save you from the Sand Ripper.
Those are the stars. But now, you fucking ready to get the big dog.
The big dog.
You got what it takes to take Then come on! You
This right here is the sound that the homunculus makes when he fucking eats a flaming bag of Cheetos.
you wanna play like that? There ain't nothing between us.
It's so good it makes him clap his cheeks.
But airing up duty, boy. So go ahead, bring your toys and get a ring. Because there ain't nothing on this earth that's gonna save you from this
Sand Ripper. Again, like the Sand Ripper is cold as hell.
Those are the stars. They're a push-up. But now, you fucking ready to get the big dog. Because if you're dumb enough to believe you got what it takes to take on I'm intelligent and a perfect powerhouse, then come on. You step right up, baby. And I guarantee you won't be going home.
And I guarantee you won't be going home. Is that what he says? I mean, I can say this. I've heard these promos enough times to where I can kind of understand what they're saying, but it's really only kinda, you know?
Those are the stars. They're a push-up. But now,
Wait, there's a Bret Hart challenge mode in this game? Hold on. What? Wait, hold on. Was this when he was still in the WWF? Was he still in the WWF when Warzone came out? Hold on. WWF Warzone. I need to check. No, this was after. What? Huh? Okay, hold on. This can't be real. Because this was after he left for WCW. Oh my god, no. Wow, these are the acclaimed game models, rather like
Party
the
or
acclaimed.
back.
Ah, thank goodness. The acclaimed models have always looked a little weird to me. Like Ken literally just like looks like that he. Ken has the face I make when I have doo-doo in my shorts. The Undertaker looks like a giant thumb. Triple H is at his most pre-muscular. Goldust doesn't look too bad. Oh my god, this is when he was called Rocky Maivia? Wow. That's crazy. Okay, that's gonna get me cleaned. Oh, it's the Sand Ripper! Personality, fan favorite. What? Oh. Oh, fan favorite and rule breaker is like the face and heel dynamics. You got Cactus Jack, you got British Bulldog, who's in this game whether he wants to or not. Yeah, Bret Hart's in this game. What? That makes no sense. Because this was after he left for WCW, right? Okay. Mankind as a heel just seems like not quite right. Also, when were the Nation of Domination baby faces? Oh my goodness. What? Wait, what? Oh, are these like... What? Oh my god, look at pre-Rock Dwayne right there. That's crazy. Wait, do you...
And I'm good old JR. This one's gonna be a good old-fashioned barn burner. Here comes Ahmed Johnson, the man from Pearl River, Mississippi. He's put together like a brick wall.
To be fair, the commentary in this doesn't sound all that bad. Yet.
Bret Hart is a 5-time WWF champion and the leader of the Hart Foundation. This isn't about popularity. He's the king of the hill.
Wait, do they have like pre-match like dialogue like they do in WWF Attitude, or is this pre-dialogue?
Sidewalk slam. Samoan drop.
Wait, do they have like their own like grunts and stuff? Yeah, they do. That's crazy.
They tangle. What a move.
What was that?
What a move.
Chat, like, do you hear like a cartoon splat sound effect there? Or is that just me?
They tangle. What a move.
Do you hear that? It's like, hold on. Cartoon splat sound effect. It literally sounds like this.
Liberty
What?
Mutual
No, it
and
doesn't sound like...
since we stayed
Dude, it's a 1 second soundbite. It literally sounds like that. Ads are out of control on this platform, dude. The ads are 5 times as long as the video, which was just a second long. Just let me get my fucking sound effect, my royalty-free sound effect. That's all I want in this life. Please. That's all I require. No, like... That literally just sounded like the splat sound effect. Anyways. Oh no, we got more FMVs. Yeah, baby!
Really took
Bret Hart wins by total blowout.
Cause it's time to meet the real superstar in WWF. And I'm gonna beat you. And no one gonna come save your sorry carcass. Just make sure you got plenty of insurance, punk.
Okay.
capacity crowd is on their feet. In the Riz.
I want to see more of these FMVs. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I just watch these. Oh, we start with Ahmed. That's awesome. Fucking Bret Hart being in this game.
Hello, Mario.
For a game that came out in 1999, the roster seems really outdated. This came out in 98. Bret Hart is the most outdated thing in this whole game.
No one can carry the Federation on his back like I have. Not even you, you dirty piece of trash. The problem with this world is that people like you are turned into heroes by this sick society. Being the man that I am, I accept your challenge, and I'll be able to prove that you are worthless.
See, like, Bret's not even as entertaining because I can actually understand what he's saying.
First of all, let's get one thing straight. There is no one that can do what I can in the ring.
First of all, let's get one thing straight. I fucking hate Bill Goldberg.
First of all, let's get one thing straight. There is no one that can do what I can in the ring. You can take all those backstabbing hyenas and line them up, and none of them can beat me fair and square on my worst day. You're no different from any of them, and you're about to be excellently executed.
Your challenge makes me laugh. What makes you think you
Your challenge makes me laugh.
and get it alive? You have yet to face a superior athlete like myself. So get ready to step in the ring and feel the wrath of the British Bulldog. You have yet.
Why does it look like he's like facing away from the camera half the time?
You're the piece of the trash of the World Wrestling Federation. Could never be the championship material that I am. If you think you've got what it takes to put the choke chain on the British Bulldog, then think again. When I get through.
Yeah, why is he like... why is he looking away from the camera?
When you feel the wrath of the bulldog.
Oh, yeah.
You may have got lucky this time.
He gets 3?
He's going to stay chained up for long.
We are the nation. What makes you think you're gonna stop me? Like I've said time and time again, there's no holding back this thoroughbred. But since you're obviously too stupid to realize that.
Dude, why does he look like... Dude, why do all these guys look like they're looking away from the camera?
There's nothing wrong with me kicking your teeth in. We are the nation. Listen, brother, it's the same old thing with fools like you. If you want to jump on my back, go right ahead. Because I'll give you the whooping of your life. You'll just be another one in a long line of stupid little punks who had a death wish.
Who had a bedwetter? Who had to bedwet? Is that what I heard?
So you put me down. Big deal. I've been beat before, brother. And there ain't no way you're gonna do it twice. If you want it.
Oh yeah, Dustin Rhodes, let's go.
You're gonna do it twice. If you want it, here it is. Come get it. But this time, you're going to have to fight for it. Perhaps the fight of your life. You see, I don't believe in stepping aside for someone like you. You're going to have to go through me the hard way.
Oh my goodness.
You best be afraid. Be very afraid.
That's it.
You think you've got me all figured out, don't you? There's nothing like a head-on collision, but you failed to guard the back door. You see, I'm coming at you from a place far beyond your wildest dreams, your sickest dreams. A place that you think you know something about. But in reality, you know nothing.
I like that his makeup, like, goes to his hair. We get 4 from Gold Dust? Let's go.
You're trying to take something that doesn't belong to you. Someone else's property. Well, try to take my word if you like, silly boy. But beware.
Silly boy.
Right across the face. When you get caught with your hand in the cookie jar, I promise that you will never forget the name.
Yes! Great. 5? 5 for Gold Dust!
You and I stand toe to toe, and you look me dead in the eye. You're going to be faced with a mirror image of yourself, aren't you? You see, I'm just as driven as you are, maybe even a bit more. You want to get crazy, silly boy. Well, let's get crazy.
And you think he was a top star here.
Never forget the name. Gold Dust.
Oh, dude, I was ready for 6. I was ready for 6 whole videos of this guy. I was ready for it. I'm so upset that we didn't get it. Is that Thrasher? It's a headbanger.
Really can't be as dumb as you look. You see, I fought bigger and better and stronger people in the mosh pits and the bars and throw people over this way. I throw people around it. So come on down into my little world, the mosh pit, the ring.
Okay, that's probably Mosh.
You see, a lot of people think headbangers are just a gimmick, but we're not. We're real life. We're about doing whatever you want to do, whatever you want to do. You want to get some piercing, get some piercing. You want some tattoos, you get some tattoos. It's whatever you want to do if you're not hurting anybody. If you want to wear a skirt, just remember, real men wear skirts.
Real men wear skirts. Hell yeah, they do. I love him.
Okay, you got a little lucky that time, but now it's time for my rematch. So why don't you bring your monkey butthole back down the ring and give it to me, because you're not going to be so lucky this time.
Give your monkey butt to me in the ring? What? Okay, Thrasher.
You pull some moves out of your britches, but this time, I'm going to give you a good old ass whooping. You know why? Because it's the headbanger's way. And when I get the 1, 2, 3...
Hello, Mario.
Hi, Shoujo. Are you headbanging?
Are you ready?
What? Dude, how come Thrasher only gets one? Really? That's insanity.
Are you ready?
Most wrestlers dream of seeing a Helmsley in action. You are about to receive an honorary first-hand demonstration. Prepare to get pedigree, you peon.
Why is he like... I don't think he was ever like Hunter Hearst Helmsley like in this form, while also being in DX. The Headbangers were a crazy gimmick, weren't they? Memorable but crazy. I haven't consumed enough of the Attitude Era to really make that assessment, but they were definitely one of the teams ever.
This war concept is so trite. I'd much rather have my lawyers sue you into submission.
That much can be said.
Have nothing of value to me. I'll have to deal with you in the ring in a more traditional manner.
Are you ready?
If you think you've done well against the other superstars of the WWF, you are sad.
Dude, who keeps clapping cheeks in the background of this particular set?
You think you've done well against the other superstars of the WWF.
Get a fucking room.
You are sadly mistaken, because in that ring, Hunter Hearst Helmsley has no equal. Watch carefully, fool, since you might just get an education in the process.
Are you ready?
Feel free to use whatever you can find, you low-class scum. From the looks of things, you can use all the help you can get.
DX music, but old Triple H gimmick. Yeah, I know.
You wrestling free.
Are you ready?
Okay, now this is a fucking politic if I've ever heard one. Thrasher gets 1, but yet Hunter gets 5.
Are you serious? That was the worst display of athleticism I have ever seen. The way you bummed around the ring. You're lucky to have even made it to the WWF. Let me show you how a true thoroughbred wins his battles.
That's crazy, dude. They gave Kane one? Suck it. I love how they get the background's red filter. Suck it. That's insanity.
I'm the most dangerous man.
Hell yeah.
If you think you're gonna beat me, you're sadly mistaken. Not only am I gonna make you submit, I'm gonna enjoy doing it.
Okay. Okay, I want to get to Stone Cold before we actually start doing this. Hold on just a second.
It ain't gonna be enough. People ask me.
Oh, Stone Cold!
You're fixing to find out firsthand, son. It's gonna be a cold day in hell before I lose to a piece of trash like you, and that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. I don't care what type of match it is, chairs, ladders, straps. It don't really make a damn to me. The end result is gonna be
Stone Cold! Stone Cold!
because there can't be no other way. I've been bashed over the head by more stuff than you can shake a stick at, son. If you get Stone Cold down, you better keep on him because if not, I'll open up a can of whoop ass and serve it to you right now. I don't give a damn what you did to the other WWE
I love how
superstars.
the glass break is perfectly timed.
I don't give a damn what you did to the other WWF superstars. Hell, son, this is Stone Cold Steve Austin. The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be, and can't nobody tell me different.
One more.
Forget about your sharpshooters and your Pearl River plunges and all that other trash. Once you get hit with the Stone Cold Stunner, son, it's 1, 2, 3, lights out. I just whipped your ass.
Incredible work. And there's a few more with
Hello, Mario.
The Undertaker. let's see here. Oh my god. That's Primordial Rock. That's insanity. The Rock with hair. Wow. Alright. I'm gonna boot up the game, y'all. I'm gonna boot up the game. I enjoy how we kind of travel along the card here a little
Where
bit.
the heck's the Cheetos, my dude?
Albeit having Bret Hart as the second one is a little interesting. I guess they wanted to keep with having Ahmed Johnson here as one of. Oh my god, are you kidding me?
We have to begin with Acclaim's long-awaited WWF.
I didn't plan that.
While we have yet to review the N64 version, the PlayStation version did not live up to expectations. The graphics are very disappointing, especially during.
Dude, are you kidding me? I didn't plan this.
Are well done. Some modes do not even have entrances. I wish more than 4 players could be in the ring at once.
But where's the Rock's fanny pack?
Listed in the manual,
maybe in Wrestling Empire.
Wrestler section. Controls are okay, but the 400+ moves are not easy to remember and have no logical connection to any particular buttons. For example, the Ass Kisser move uses ups instead of
the
downs.
Ass Kisser move.
Still, you can't beat a game that offers this many options. We had a lot of fun creating 3 fat black ladies fighting 1 skinny
I
white
swear
person.
I didn't plan this,
You don't get
chat.
to do that every day.
The fact that the Gutsy we get is attitude was not set up.
Can't win the match that way.
Do some damage, player 1. Coincidence? I think not. No! I swear to God, I did not queue up the 3 fat black ladies fighting 1 skinny white turd video again.
Oh, excuse me, we're back, my dudes.
Hey, welcome back to Raw. Also, hi, Dan. Welcome to tonight's Long Boy Club meeting. Who all do we have in chat right now, by the way? Because if you came in tonight, you're in for some good shit. Because, again, we're continuing on with GIRA's storyline here. If you are not here on Tuesday, right? Tuesday, yes. Tuesday. If you weren't here on Tuesday, then you honestly missed a hell of a moment. Hey, Logan, Sonic is weird. Yes, I watched the... Right? Okay, so chat, I'm going to explain what we're doing here, and then I'm going to talk about what Zach's talking about. So when we last left our hero, our knight in shining armor, GIRA, the guy that's playing him forgot to boot up the game with his controller on. So, hold on, he needs to reboot the game. MDickie. Whenever I think of Dickies, I think of the Edda and Eddie Christmas special. When he gets a Dickie for Christmas. They still make these? Yeah, when we last left our knight in shining armor, GIRA, he cemented another spot in history, becoming a five-time world champion across 4 different promotions. Well, kind of 4 different promotions, but really 4 different brands of wrestling. Because ever since he started in 2019, he won the AEW champion, the WWE championship, the WWE Universal Championship, and the Wrestling Revolution World Championship. That last one, he has now held twice over. He is now the current, reigning and defending Wrestling Revolution World Champion. Check it out. Check this out, chat. World title history. GIRA won it off of Giant Gonzalez. He defeated Damien Sandow for it. And then within a few months, he won it back again. And this time, he's on a mission. He's on a mission with this second world title run in Wrestling Revolution. Because right now, Wrestling Revolution is kind of in the dumps, you know? According to the database here, it is, aside from Indie Wrestling Union, which isn't really a promotion, it is at the bottom of the food chain in terms of wrestling promotions. After being blackballed by much of the industry and being thrown out by World Championship Wrestling under a conspiracy, rather, after Paul Heyman conspiring to take him out of WCW. By the way, that's really working out for him. Look at where my WCW is in comparison to the other promotions. Real fucking smart there, dude. But anyways, after all of that, he has decided to go at it with the Underdog promotion. He wants to get back at the rest of the wrestling industry, and to do so, he will take Wrestling Revolution to the top. And in order to do that, he must keep a hold of the World Championship. He needs to stay World Champion and Mid-Card Champion for as long as he can in order to get Wrestling Revolution to the top of the Wrestling Mountain. And who better to help him get there? The good old JR, Jim Ross, by God. Because I gave him a manager, and it is none other than good old JR, Jim Ross. Who fucking loves GIRA, by God? I even love him a little more than I love Dr. Death. Yeah, that right there's the current storyline. It may say that he's a face right now, but my intention is to make him a giant fucking heel. Alright? Because from this point on, he doesn't just see him as wrestling. He doesn't just see himself as Wrestling Revolution's world champion. He sees himself as the promotion's savior, in a way. And he will remain world champion for as long as it takes to save the promotion. So yeah, he has a little bit of a savior complex about him now. We'll see how long his second world title lasts. Rather, like his second world title reign in the company lasts. I will say that up until this point, throughout our journey here in Wrestling Empire, hold on just a second. Throughout our journey here in Wrestling Empire, GIRA has held a grand total of how many championships? Group project title history. I could have sworn we already got that one. Probably not. Let's see. He has won a lot of championships. I'll just say that. He's won like 6 or 7 of them at this point throughout our run here in Wrestling Empire. And we're hoping that this World Championship reign is going to be the longest of them all. As long as it takes to get Wrestling Revolution to the top of the mountain. Because of the rest of the wrestling industry will not accept him. He has no choice but to make the only place that will accept him viable. So yeah, that's kind of our lot in life at this point. Wait, is that? No, it's Tony Land. Where the heck is Jim Ross? Also, yeah, look at this chat. The double belts. That's so sick. Takamichi Doko and Buddy Buchanan should be having their match, right? Dude, I don't care about them. The only one that GIRA cares about right now is GIRA. And keeping both Chaos Emerald Championships around his waist. Yeah, how WCW of them. That is very WCW-esque of them, if I do say so myself. I noticed you changed your hairstyle, GIRA. It really suits you. Hey, thanks, bud. What's up, dude? Oh, chat. What if I go for a threefer? I think eventually we gotta go for a threefer, right? We gotta do the tag titles as well, right? I think we gotta do the tag titles too. What are you waiting for, Gary? You need to get through the curtain. I'm going, man! I'm the world champion. I can take my time if I want to take it. And don't you forget it. Here we are in the main event. And who's that with him? Ah, by God! It's good old JR Jim Ross here. I've employed the managerial services of Jim Ross. What the hell? To ensure that he remains champion for as long as he wants. I wouldn't normally do this, but I can't go another moment without telling you about this ribs. It's no exaggeration to say that this ribs changed my life. I don't know where I'd be without... Oh yeah, that's right. We were told to sell ribs. And you don't have to be a wrestling revolution star like me to own a ribs like this. Wait. Where are the ribs? For just a few dollars, you could pick up one of your own. And I suggest you do so before stocks run out. You've obviously sold out, Gira, but so has this arena. And they paid to see me kick your ass. This arena has not sold out. It's very much not sold out just yet. But no, I guess we're doing another world title match, but I don't know. I don't think Eddie Kingston's on the level. So we're not gonna do what's going down now just yet. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do Axe to Grind. I love to see an Ed and Eddie episode where he tries to sell NFTs. The funny thing is, it would literally be like the episode where they're trying to do a bunch of fads, but like they're just like outdated before they even have a chance to catch up to them. I was about to say, it's... I keep thinking Mr. Fuji is Red Shoes for a second. I will make an example out of you, Eddie Kingston. I will say that this Eddie Kingston model looks really, really good. If Eddie Kingston taps out here, that is going to be incredible work. Hey, Persona Q2 music. Is this PQ? I thought that this was Strikers. Right, arm drag. Get on up. Jesus. Up again. Up again, Eddie. You're done. He wouldn't have kicked out if you actually friggin' counted like normal ref. Oh shit. No, he needs to stay champion forever, for as long as it takes, which means he also cannot get injured. Because if GIRA gets injured, then that's it. Like, that's the title reign over and done with. Oh no. Okay. But yeah, Sonic is weird. Oh yeah, so I showed Zach something strange today. Has anyone heard of like this series called There's Something About Amy? Or the There's Something About Blank series of videos on Mashed? Because I finally decided to watch that today. The compilation of Chapter 1 has like nearly 6.5 million views. And it's kind of like the best way that I can describe it, right? Is that it's a bit more of a, it's a bit, other like, it's a Sonic creepypasta that feels like it has more high effort in it, is what it feels like, right? It's like the most yandere version of Amy Rose. I mean, because, like, the angle of the series is that it has a lot, like, of dimensional travel elements, and the reason why she's like that is because she was driven to madness a little bit by this, like, warped version of Tails, right? The series hasn't really made clear what his deal is yet exactly. But the idea of the series is that you have, like, this version of Sonic, well, called Perfect Sonic, right? And Perfect Sonic wants to, in his words, gather up, you know, sort of different versions of his friends to, like, live in, like, this perfect world, right? But what he seems to be gathering instead is versions of his friends with their most negative traits accentuated. So, like, for someone like Tails, it is his need to be accepted by Sonic. Rather, like, his need to be Sonic's close friend, right? For Amy, it is to be close to Sonic and have his love and affection. For Knuckles, it is his anger. So on and so forth. That seems to be kind of the angle that they're going for. I'm not really and, like, the series has, like, a lot, like, of, like, gore and violence in it, right? The immediate thought, I feel like, for a series like that would probably be, like, Sonic.exe or something, right? But I don't really think it's on that level. I feel like that this is done better than Sonic.exe. But that's not really to say that I'm crazy about it, right? Because in general, I just kind of think that, I don't know. It's just not really how I want Sonic to be, you know? It's not really what I want out of Sonic. I know it's supposed to be kind of like a fan work, but it's done with a lot more earnestness than something, rather, like, than your typical fan work. It's done with a lot more production value, I should say, than, like, what would be your typical fan work, right? Oh shit. Oh no.
Right.
Come on, Eddie Kingston. It does have YouTube Kids thumbnails, yes. But no, like, the crazy version of Amy in that series, it takes a lot of noticeable cues from Harley Quinn. Like Batman Harley Quinn, right? And must find new audiences elsewhere. No, he fucking doesn't. He needs to push it to another level. He needs to push the product to another level. You know, since I'm already making a bunch of money, I figured that the best thing to do is to give Jim Ross a little bit of a cut. Right? Make sure that the veteran gets his due. I'm so glad we won that match, GIRA. It was a pleasure working with you. Oh yeah, JR. She takes a lot of cues from Harley Quinn, and the warped version of Tails is Joker, more so, right? You would think that Perfect Sonic would be a Joker-like character, but he's not really. He's like presented like this perfect being, right? But there's obviously something a bit more sinister going on. No, just like in general, I don't really do the whole, well, it's, the kids franchise, or, you know, the family-friendly game franchise gets like all like gory and serious and stuff, right? That just feels a little passé to me, right? It just feels a little done. And again, I feel like that what Mash is doing is there's a bit more effort put into it than what you would kind of expect from that sort of fare. But it's still not really something that I'm gravitate towards. The stream as the fans insist on treating Source Strickland as a face, despite his attempts to play heel. Art imitates life. After 10 hours of couple sleep, GIRA's energy levels are now at 100%. GIRA's presence on the Wrestling Revolution roster is elevated. Hell yeah, dude, yeah it is. Has become significantly more popular. Minoru Suzuki has been appointed as the new booker of All Elite Wrestling. What? That makes what? Alright. Juventud has gone to UFC. Luke Harper's defeated Kofi Kingston. Dino Bravo released by UFC. Wrestling Revolution's proposed pay-per-view has been canceled. What? No. No, 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 no. Oh my god. Wait, we're having a submission match on free TV? Against Hiroshi Tanahashi? On free TV? Dude. Dude, that is absolutely fucking nuts. So wait, is Orange Cassidy still on the AEW roster? Yeah, he is, but he's like he's only like in a talent role. Wow, that's crazy. Who would have thunk it? That kind of thing is so played out. It is. But I still can't acknowledge that, like, you know, like there's more effort and sort of, you know, enthusiasm put into the project. That being said, Zach, there is some more lighthearted Sonic stuff on there. I'll send you it later. There's some more lighthearted kind of fun stuff on there. But that seems to be kind of like their big thing, right? The There's Something About Blank series seems to be like their big thing when it comes to Sonic. Because it's something that they've been like telling now for multiple years, honestly. It's something that they've been kind of telling now for like multiple years. And make of that what you will, but apparently I like the VA they got for Sonic. Fun facts. The VA for Tails and Amy is actually Ellie Monty, who you might recognize as a voice actress from the old Pony days. It's a small world. It is a very fucking small world. But I love that for her. What the hell was that? Did you hear that? What the? Do not throw your shitty toilet paper at me. I don't need that. Ayo, yeah, Ayo. And she does really good. Eileen Montgomery. Rather, Eileen Montgomery. I remember her. She did some good covers. Yeah. What? Okay, sure. Remind me of the rules. The first wrestler to score submission will win. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you, Medusa. Anyways, to stay champion, GIRA needs to get into the gym. What? Hi. What's up, Tony Land? I kind of kicked your ass in court, didn't I? Ah, good old JR Jim Ross. Hell yeah. Oh, wait. Hold on. Is Kerry Von Erich on the roster? Ooh. I think I know who's gonna beat GIRA for the title eventually. I think I know who's gonna beat him for the title eventually. Alright, Hiroshi Tanahashi. The one-on-one rematch. I kind of have a feeling that this one's going to be a little tough, though. I have a feeling that this one's going to be a little tough. Hey! Just call it a hunch, because submissions are actually a little hard to get in this game. They're actually, like, slightly hard to get in this game. Well, now that we have this title. Hell yeah, get him! Get his ass! Yeah! Help me, GIRA. I'm not sure I can handle this on my own. I'll take care of Tony Land. Let's teach Tony Land a lesson. I don't know if I can. Ah! Ow. Sorry, GIRA, I think I hit you by mistake. Are you alright? Yeah, don't worry about it. Oh god, she was Button's mom. Oh, she was! Wasn't she? That's insane! Dude. It is a... The world is fucking tiny. That's insane! That is insanity. And now she's Amy Rose. And Tails. What a career trajectory. Honestly, you'll love to see it. Alright, and here comes my client. The world champion that'll take Wrestling Revolution to the top of the mountain. GIRA. Old GIRA. And the piece of shit Hiroshi Tanahashi. Oh wait, hold on. I think we're about to be thrust into a break. Chat, I think we're about to be thrust into a break. I think I need to throw us real quick. I'm sorry, but I must.
It's break time. Where the heck's
Raw
the cheaters,
rolls
my
on after
dudes?
this.
Note to self, don't drink tap water at Jerry Garcia's.
Gex. Enter the Gecko is Gex's second Gex game. That will get you Gex-cited. Okay,
Fun fact, also,
except for this one.
The guy
Gex
that
has
made
personality plus.
Buttons, rather,
Even
was
if
it
the
called
gameplay
Buns
itself
Adventures or
does not
something?
reflect this jocular style.
The guy that
To put it
made that,
simply, Gex has very
he also
nice
does
3D
stuff for
graphics,
Mashed
both
now.
technically and artistically. Sucky
Like he's one of like
controlled
the
movement and tough challenge.
directors of their
Is the
cartoons.
game worth buying? Well, yeah, well, maybe.
He was at the
This
forefront
is a
like of an
tricky one.
official Cult of the Lamb
superficial
animation.
qualities are, well, super.
And it's honestly
The
really
opening
cool.
cinema scene is gorgeous as expected. The graphics
Again,
are good.
what a
The
career
character is
trajectory.
cool. But this game is just another 3D romp that wishes it could be Mario 64. It's a good game, one you should check out, but not stellar. The game's biggest
I don't know if
fault
Ellie
is the
Monty
camera,
is in that one too. Let
arguably
me
the
check.
worst camera ever in a video game. Even with 3 different camera settings, you'll always have a problem with game view. Control gets a D, difficulty gets an A,
That's
and
Cult of the
design
Lamb.
gets a B.
Let's
Now
check
let's
it.
hear some of Gex's goofball, off-the-wall sound bites.
Memo to Gilligan, try building a raft. The princess is here on the detention level.
Out of the way, Roseanne!
Om nom nom. Oh, excuse me, we're back, my dudes.
She is not. Yeah, like
Wow, that's real scary, guys. A floating toilet. Welcome to this week's episode.
Yeah, like
of
the
Touched by an
storyboard
Uncle.
layout, design, color, backgrounds, direction,
What, you flunk
and
out of
animation
action camp?
is by Jan Animations for it. It's honestly really, really cool. That's a fun bit of continuity there. Or just kind of a fun bit, like, of, man, what a career trajectory. And guess what? The guy who voices Sonic for them was Buttons as well. Was he? That's crazy! Dude, that's insane! Dude. Again, the world is so small. I love that. I love that for them. Anyway, submission match against Hiroshi Tanahashi. The only man that could ever hope to stand toe-to-toe with GIRA here in Wrestling Revolution. If there's anyone that could take him down at this point, it's Tanahashi. Oh no. Damn! Immediately they're throwing out the big guns at GIRA. But no, that's so cool. Also, you're friggin' stinky, Joe. You're stinky. Oh, hey! Whoa, hello! Alright, that's it. That's all. Come on, Hiroshi Tanahashi. You got something better than that. You gotta give me something better than that, dude. Yo, watch for them to Sonic vs. Rule 34. That seems fun. You know, I would recommend something else. Ah! I would recommend something else, bruh. That doesn't sound like a good prospect. On a Thursday night. On Thursday Night Blitz. Oh, damn. Hold on. Whoa! Hiroshi Tanahashi is starting to out-wrestle GIRA. I was about to say, look at the fucking scars on GIRA now. Dude, look at Hiroshi Tanahashi's face. Flippy shit. Got JR in our corner to make sure we win the match. It's honestly everything we need. I was about to say, JR, are you about to, like, do a top rope move? You know who you're talking to, right? LMAO. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm talking to someone that took a bullet for me today. Do not explain why. Do not explain why. But let's just say Zach is my ride or die, chat. Zach is a true ride or die. Damn. Hiroshi, you need to do something more than that. Huh? I fucking hate pornography. Although... I don't know what this Neo Fanboy 15 is going on about, but that Rule 34 shit, I don't like it. So I'm burning it down to the ground. My dude looks like Vilma crawling around there. Dude, if we go to a stalemate again, I am going to friggin' scream. I am going to scream. I'm like Homer jumping in front of you. You are, yeah. Oh, speaking of adult cartoons, chat. There's this video that I saw on TikTok last night that I need to show all of you. I'll change my mind about pornography. Gives me a funny feeling. If we time out the clock again, I'm not even doing it like on purpose at this point. What the fuck? Mr. Fuji, you gotta see. You gotta try out this Rule 34 yourself. It makes me boomer sooner if you catch my drift. Boom, boom. What the fuck, dude? Mr. Fuji, no, you do not get to do that to my... You do not get to do it to my guy. You do not get to do that to Jim Ross. I'm getting you in the middle of this fucking ring. You're gonna tap to the sleeper. What the hell? I can't make him tap out, chat. I can't make him tap out. I don't know if I can make him tap. Dude, I can't make him tap. I cannot make Hiroshi Tanahashi tap. Get the fuck over here, horseshoe. No! No! No fucking shot! GIRA cannot keep this championship. GIRA cannot keep this championship to save his life. Alright, well, at the very least, I enjoy that Hiroshi Tanahashi has it now and not Damien Sandow. Has dropped after losing the world championship in that match. Congratulations to Hiroshi Tanahashi for becoming the new world champion of Wrestling Revolution. Dude, we can't keep this championship. We cannot keep this championship to save our life. Well, at the very least, we still have this. At the very least, we still have this belt. Losing the world title changes everything, GIRA. Maybe I should lose you as well. No! What? Dude! I was sorry to see you lose the world title, GIRA, but I hope you can win it back. I'm hoping so too, brother. Dude, what the hell? Wait, hold on. Hold on, does that mean... No! JR! JR left immediately, dude! JR left immediately! Are you kidding me? Within 2 weeks, we fucking lost our championship. No, come on! Okay, well, at the very least, we still have our TV title here. With Hiroshi Tanahashi as the world champion and with GIRA as the TV champion. Wow. Yeah, dude. What a heel. This really is heel Jim Ross. Tough association with La Parka has had a positive effect on his skill. Rick Steiner has gone to WWF. Listen, GIRA, I've been keeping an eye on your progress, and I think some changes need to be made. Again? Wrestlers are supposed to be larger in life, but you're not big enough to impress anybody. Get your weight up to 288 pounds by the... Dude! Every single time, it really doesn't matter what you want. It really does not matter at the end of the day. It's never enough for you. 1 month you want me to get down to like 258, and then the next month you want me to get up to 288. Make up your mind. Make up your fucking mind, dude. Fine. We're gonna get Big Black and jacked. Here then. I guess we're gonna get Big Black and jacked here then. Again. I still love that shirt so much. It was destined to be worn only by the scrawniest white guys. They only kept it for like a couple weeks. And then they were like, oh. Well, we didn't think about that one. What? What is it do you want? What is it you want from me, Damien Demento? Man. Immediately! Losing the world title changes everything, doesn't it? Everything, huh? Fine, well then we need to defend this mid-card championship with our life.
Hello, Mario.
Dude's watching your weight go up and down like it's a yo-yo, isn't it? Yes, Dan Miragliota? What is it that you want? Hello, Fismus. Welcome to tonight's Lone Boy Club meeting. How are you doing tonight, my friend? Oh! I don't even know where the weights are at this point. Like, where are all the weights in this gym? Where are all the weights in this gymnasium here? Just sneaking in at work. Well, I appreciate you sneaking in, my friend. I appreciate you sneaking in. It's really good to see you, as always. I'm gonna fucking kill Jim Ross, dude. You're gonna die. I guarantee it. You know what? I want to challenge him for the WWF. No, for the WWF title. I challenge you to a match. No, I want all the gold. We've already faced each other recently. Let's revisit this further down the line. Fine. We'll revisit it later down the line, whatever that means. Expenses? What expenses? Jim Ross left me. Gangrel's come down with an illness and is in poor health. It's been released by World Wrestling Federation. Pac has defeated Christopher Daniels to become the new world champion of AEW. Bubba Ray Dudley has left AEW to go to New Japan. Honky Tonk Man has gone to WWF. Ichiban Kasuga is the new postgraduate champion. David Schultz has gone to New Japan. Dino Bravo's gone to UFC. Garrett's been challenged to increase his weight. ESG score has improved after pretending to champion a fashionable cause whenever it is safe and convenient to do so. Cool, I guess. What the hell? Fine, you know what? This right here is gonna raise the stock. It's gonna raise the stock of GIRA. Who all are we fit? Swerve Strickland, why are you out? Why? Why are you feeling like that, man? Alright, who are we facing? No way! Wait, GIRA's team again? It is GIRA's team versus GIRA's team. GIRA, we both know that I wouldn't normally have any problem kicking your ass. But fortunately for you, I can't leave anything to chance, and I have to ensure things go my way. Would you be willing to throw the match if I paid you $2,360? You know what? No. A win over me can't be bought. Fine, we'll just have to do this the hard way. I was only trying to help you, GIRA. I was only trying to— Ow! Ow! Dude, who the hell's legal and who isn't? Give me Jim Ross! Give me JR! Give me Jim Ross! I want his ass. Wait, hold on. I want his ass. So wait. Who all are we facing? We're facing Dr. Dash, Infinite Best, Baby Bull, Jake the Snake Roberts, and Jim Ross. It really is heel JR, chat. This is bullshit. What the— No! Things have broken down! Already things have broken down here in the Silverdome. So what if I bring, like, Swerve Strickland into the ring? Is he gonna, like, do anything? Swerve, I need you to do something, bud. Let go of my fucking championship. Up and at him. Alright, that's it. What? Cast! What are you doing, man? Cast, I thought the beef between us was squashed. I thought the beef between us was squashed, dude. Everyone is out for GIRA, dude. Everyone. It doesn't matter who you are. Also, I feel like we're about to see more VOD channels to show up on YouTube because of Twitch. That really should be just what people are doing, you know? I will say this right now. If you don't have a VOD channel, you need to be getting on that shit. You really should have been getting on that shit. Because people enjoy being able to conveniently rewatch your streams, you know? Like, anyone who doesn't have it, at this point, needs to be getting on it, I feel like. Oh, shit. Oh! Oh, damn. Okay. Alright, Eddie, you go get him, bud. I know you got this. Dude, what the fuck? Carrie Von Erich, get in there. Alright, Miss Elizabeth, get in there. What? Okay, cool. Bro, I'm trying. The ref has it out for all of us. Fine, you know what? Then this is what we're gonna do. This right here is what we're gonna do then. Ow! Carrie Von Erich. I just have heavily cropped down VODs. Like I turned a near 5-hour stream into a 2-hour thing. What I usually do is I'll cut out the preamble at the beginning. Or rather, like what I'll sometimes do is I'll cut out, you know, like the preamble at the beginning. And then I will, and then I'll leave in the actual meat and potatoes at the stream. I have a feeling this one's gonna take a while, chat. This is a 5-on-5 tag team elimination match. Five on five elimination tag match. Ow! I have to say, could someone help me out here, please? All right, Dr. Dash. Taunting, building up that bar. Okay, I was about to say. Jim Ross documenting my demise over there in the corner. And Carrie Von Erich documenting my big fat dub. I need that fucking ref to actually do his job. I really only edit my stuff because all of the dead air and other little bits just irritate me. They irritate me too. But if I were to go through and painstakingly find all of the dead air, you would be taking out the entire stream. I kid. I kid. But no, I feel like that... I don't feel the need to, like... You know, go over my screens. Go over my streams with that level of scrutiny, you know? I don't feel the need to do that. Personally. My dude, I literally signed you to the same deal. What are you doing on the other team? I need someone to tag. Tag in, tag in, tag in. I'm gonna fucking kill you, Jim Ross. We're gonna go out to the ring and I'm gonna freaking beat your ass, dude. Brother! I'm getting out the ring!
Hello, Mario.
Wait, who's there? Who goes there? Because I can't see for some reason. Bah, God! Beat him like a government mule. I'm trying, man! But it's a little hard to do it right now because it's 5-on-5 elimination tag rules. I will say I'm about... Oh, shit. Sorry. I will say that I'm a few minutes away from stimulating the match here. That's understandable. It can take so long to go through these things. I was about to say, where the heck is GIRA? What the heck is legal in this matchup? What it... Okay. Jim Ross, I'm gonna come for you, bud. I'm coming to get you. Oh, wait, no, don't. I'm coming to get you and beat you like a government mule. Ah, yeah. God is my witness, he's broken in half. I literally cannot see myself amongst all this chaos. I'm trying my best to, like, do something to him. I want to put him through the table. Dude! Why is he out wrestling GIRA? I literally cannot do the table spot. I can't do it. I cannot do it because I can't see GIRA. Okay, here we go. No! Will you fucking stop? Why is Jim Ross choking him out? Okay, okay, now we're... Alright, now we're being him senseless out here. God, look at that pool of blood. Look at that pool of blood on the outside.
It's almost time for a 90 seconds Cheetos break, my dude.
Is it really? These things come too fast, chat. No, 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 no. We're not done yet. We're not done yet. Also, hello, Ethan. Welcome to tonight's Long Boy Club meeting. I'm a little out of it tonight, chat. Sorry. Alright, I put him through this table. Hell yeah. Alright, we have nothing yet. Swerve Strickland's team wins. Cool. Well, we got that. We got that done. Has suffered from being on the losing team. Swerve Strickland's progress is being hindered. GIRA has reached the limits of Wrestling Revolution's popularity. Has improved after being on the winning team. Miss Elizabeth's profile has improved. A. Kingston's profile has improved. Hell yeah. And yeah, we're going up. We're going up. But when you got two top talents like Hiroshi Tanahashi and GIRA here on the team. I see you had fun out there, GIRA, but you made quite a mess of the arena. If we ever want to book this venue again, you better pay for the damages. You know what? No, that's not my problem. Well, if I can't trust you in the ring, then I'll just have to keep you out of it. Keep me out of it? Oh no. Again? Attitude has deteriorated considerably in recent weeks. Tendacano has been released by New Japan. Arn Anderson has renewed his contract. Austin Aries is now on the Indies. Uh-oh. Jake's probably on the sauce again. Aw. Hold on. Let's see here. I have half a mind to just not do this because motherfucking MDickie is just gonna be like, ah, well, pal, you're not doing enough. You're not doing enough to get strong. All right, there we go. I hit 288 pounds. Is that good enough for you, Mr. Dick? The fans insist on treating Cass as a face, despite his attempts to play heel. GIRA's presence on the Wrestling Revolution roster has elevated the reigns. Yeah, baby. Has turned heel and will now be portrayed as a villain. UFC has become significantly more popular. Scott Hall has left UFC. Newbie Nate has left Indie Wrestling Union to go to the NWA. The Sandman has left for the NWA. Nikki Bella is now in New Japan. Goldust is left for UFC. GIRA has been challenged. Yes, New Japan Pro Wrestling has sunk below. Yeah! We're on our way up, dude. Congratulations, GIRA. You followed my advice and made your prospects better. Cool. Thank you, MDickie. Wrestling Revolution's reigns are up because of me, not because Hiroshi Tanahashi is the champion. Not because Hiroshi Tanahashi is the champion. Dude, another handcuffs match? Is this like GIRA's like specialty match or something? I want my world championship back for a third time. This better be worth my time. I challenge you to a match. You're not strong enough to give me a good match. Perhaps you should pick on someone your own size. Bro, what's your strength? What's yours? It's only 6 points higher than me, bud. Fight someone my own size, huh? Well, that won't be hard to do. I actually have another idea here. How about this? What if we form a team? Shall we form a team? We've already discussed this enough for one day. Why don't you go find someone else to bother? Dude, why is there dude, everyone is so mean to him. I don't understand. I don't understand why everyone is so mean to friggin' GIRA. Also, The Undertaker is still horrifically injured. Again, at the hands of GIRA. Alright, chat.
It's almost time for a 90 seconds Cheetos break, my dudes.
Let's do the ad break.
It's break time.
Raw
Where the heck's
rolls
the
on
Cheetos, my dudes?
after this.
Konami also treads in the sequel territory with Castlevania, Symphony of the Night. Although we found the game to be a disappointment, we couldn't help but be sucked into the game. The game expands dramatically as you find new passageways and secrets within Dracula's castle. We think the game is fun, but again, way overhyped.
Scott Hall in
This
UFC is a little bit random,
2D
isn't it?
platform experience with no in-game cinemas or anything to set it apart from previous Dracula outings. The unification of side-scrolling action and character-building RPG elements is unique and impressive, but almost unnoticeable in terms of the effect on gameplay. The challenge is very high. We got far into the game, but still felt far from the end. The different areas of Dracula's castle are well designed, and in many cases, a sight to see. The artistry and detail is readily apparent, particularly in the backgrounds. The setting is very convincing, as everything looks Romanesque or Gothic. Besides the overdone side-scrolling nature of the game, we also have a minor complaint about one aspect of the game's control.
I have an idea,
jump in the
chat.
middle of a swing. Think about that for a moment. If you're
We're gonna
standing
challenge
still
Jim
and you
Ross.
swing your whip, you can't jump until the whip has come all the way back to you. Now that's ridiculous, folks. Ridiculous and frustrating. I mean, really, that is one annoying flaw. So much for realism.
Om nom nom.
Castlevania
Oh,
series
excuse me,
often
we're back,
sports
my
slightly
dudes.
stiff
Hey, welcome back
controls,
to Raw.
and this game is no
Bro,
exception.
this
However,
guy's saying
we should
Symphony of the
say
Night
that
is
control
difficult.
only
Is
feels
it?
stiff in that instance. Otherwise, Castlevania Symphony of the Night is a pretty decent game. You won't not like it, but it won't make you sing out loud either. Then again,
No, not
game
at all.
does that. The bottom line is, unlike Crash Bandicoot
I will
2,
say that I'm not in a
Castlevania
position
does
to say
not
whether or
take
not it's
old-school
good.
gameplay
Rather, like,
and
whether
put
or
it
not
in
it's
a
hard.
flattering 3D format. Instead, Castlevania just creates more of the same, but enjoyable more of the same.
We need more people on this roster to face Hiroshi Tanahashi. It does have some annoying parts, but it's not probably one of the easiest Castlevanias, at least to me. I would like to play it at some point. All right, now that we have enough strength for MDickie's liking, we're going to go ahead and we're going to invest back into skill. I don't think we'll need a lot to take on Mickey James, but just in case. You know what? Fuck you. You're faster than me, GIRA. I don't want any trouble with you. I don't fucking care. You give me back my title. We plan to cut homeless people in half by to cut all homeless people in half by 2025. Watch how you say that. You may have beat me in the ring, GIRA, but the result will be different outside of it. Will it now? I don't think it will, JR. I don't think it will. Hell yeah, Eddie, go get him. Go get him, yeah! Hell yeah, brother! Get him. Thanks for the help, GIRA. I'm not sure I can handle Jim Ross on my own. No! Holy shit! That's crazy, dude! I heard you've been starting fights, GIRA. You need to save that energy for the ring. If you make this an unsafe work environment, then I'll just have to keep you out of it. What? I'm sorry? I have no show? And I'm going to court with Jim Ross? No! Dude! What the fuck? What the no, we're gonna... No! No! No, we're gonna get kicked out again, dude! We're gonna get kicked out again! Wagax appears to have... Dude, I don't give a fuck. Do I still have a job or not? Do I still have a job or not? I need to know. Do I still have a job or not? This court is convened to hear the case against GIRA. Jim Ross, you press charges. This is supposed to be a sport, but GIRA is an animal who assaults people outside of the ring. Jim Ross went looking for a fight and found one. He can't beat... Ah, no. The sad thing is... He's well within his right. Yep. No. You're taking yourself too seriously if you allow fights to spill into real life. And also need some time to calm down. Dude, he's been suspended! GIRA's been suspended! Has left Wrestling Revolution to pursue a career at WCW. I'm treating GIRA as a heel, despite his attempts to play face. Man. Okay. The Destroyer has been released by NWA. Kevin Nash has gone on to NWA. Sin Cara has been released by WCW. New tag team champions, World Wrestling Entertainment have crowned Genshiro Tenryu and Seth Rollins. Dude, what the fuck? I miss working with you now that you're at Wrestling Revolution and I'm at UFC. Do you think there's a spot for me at Wrestling Revolution on the same terms? Sure. Paige, why not? Or Soraya, really? Thanks for making this happen, Gear. I can't wait to work with you again. I didn't know that we worked before. I honestly didn't know that we worked before. Dude, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I fucking hate Jim Ross, dude. I hate Jim Ross. And I hate the promoter, MDickie. Every promoter hates him. Every single promoter hates GIRA's guts. Every single one of them hates him, dude. Dickie is right. What do you mean he's right? The CM Punk of this world. What, GIRA? Come on, you don't think he's like Pepsi Phil? You don't think so. I mean, his last name is accurate. Oh, Dickie, yes, you're making fun of his name. Here's I've also mentioned it is no longer over with the fans. Velvet Sky has defeated Lita to become the new women's champion. Diver 88 was released by All Elite Wrestling. Kylie Barrier as their new co-ed champion. Garrett's profile has suffered from a lack of exposure in recent weeks. We both know justice was done in court, Garrett. Why don't we put all this behind us now and move on? You know what? I love how his face changes depending on what you choose. Fine. That settles it. I can't see us ever being friends, but at least we can move on with our lives. I'm just gonna have to keep defending the Inter Championship. You know what? No, hold on. Hold on just a second. Television. There you go. No, the last name Dickie is very much accurate. It's very, very accurate, in fact. Alright, well, we're stuck in mid-card hell at this point. Yeah, TV champion GIRA. Just get out here, I guess. Just get out here, into the ring. I'm about to squash Gangrel out here. I fucking hate you, Jim Ross. But I hate Gangrel just a little more. It is cool building up a resume in this game, though. It is. It honestly kind of is. I will give it that. What happened? Hey, Gangrel, can you believe that we've been booked to face each other in this match? Yeah, things could get... Don't worry, I wouldn't have it any other way. I can't afford to lose this match either. I'm gonna beat the shit out of you, actually. I don't care if you're suddenly my friend. I want justice. Dira's probably like, can we hurry up and finish this? I have a porno to direct. Yeah, what, with the tag team championship there? I wish I was making it up, but Gangrel does direct porn. Oh no, I know. I know that he does Zorn. I know that he's a big Zorn Man. Well, there goes the tag belt. It's been a while since we actually fought Gangrel, too. Only thing that would make this better is if we had the Sand Rippa in our corner. What's that say? Is Gangrel, like, gonna do anything in this match? Or is this going to be all GIRA? Like usual. Chillin' on the weekend like you- Ow! Chillin' on the weekend like usual. Watching SpongeBob and Scooby-Doo-Doo. Gangrel's probably too nice to fight back. Dude is super nice in real life. I heard. Jesus Christ, that's it.
Hello, Mario.
Squash man. Chillin' on the weekend like usual. Watching SpongeBob and Scooby-Dooby-Doo. She took the wires to my PlayStation. She doing too much. I didn't wipe my butt. I just pooped and got up. A shame he didn't go as far as Edge and Christian. I think it seems like he did pretty well for himself, though. Oh, Burning Hammer! Holy fucking shit. Ah! No, the match is over. Gangrel's profile has suffered considerably after being defeated so easily. So, wait, where are we? Hey, we're doing great, dude! Ha ha! World Championship Wrestling's in the gutter, dude. Yeah, dude, look at that house! Look at the house! Look at that house! We're doing good! We're actually doing good. MDickie has been conspiring to have GIRA removed from Wrestling Federation. No! Are you kidding me? Again? Brian Pillman has formed a new team with Chris Jericho. Bobby Lashley has left World Championship Wrestling to pursue a career at AEW. Dude! When will the conspiracies end? I may not like you, GIRA, but we shouldn't let that get in the way of business. You certainly blossomed since we saw you last, and we'd like to bring you back with this deal. You know what? You know what? I still believe in the vision that Wrestling Revolution represents. I still believe in the vision that Wrestling Revolution represents. And I want to be there to bolster up the roster. So no. No, Paul Heyman. I do not want to have you on there. We're pleased to be joined in the studio by GIRA of Wrestling Revolution. How do you feel when people dismiss wrestling as fake? Do you think you could take me in a fight right now? Never use the F word around me. Is the F word fight? Because that's one thing I've never seen you do, GIRA. Huh? What? Okay. Sure. I guess we're fighting now. No! ADC plays. Thank you for following. You're now a member of the Long Boy Club for You're now a member of the Long Boy Club for for life. Dude, what are you doing? You know what, MDickie? I don't care. I'll care about you doing this. Jesus Christ. We flattened the computer. We found the computer room, chat. Here. Come on, Joe Rogan. Oh, wait. Wait, is MDickie having second thoughts? Yeah, man, let's get them together. Let's get them.
Hello, Mario.
This game is so good. I have over 1,000 hours. Well, I've got to have like 30 hours in it by now. Hello there, though. Welcome to tonight's Long Boy Club meeting. Hopefully you're doing well. Dude, he's taking it to Joe Rogan. Based, honestly. Haha! You only won because you had help, GIRA. MDickie will always be there to protect you. Primarily because he's taking you to court here in a minute. Has damaged the reputation of New Japan Pro Wrestling by failing to win that interpromotional. GIRA has defended the business after coming out on top in that altercation. I'm sorry, what? MDickie, if you had any sense. Is there something you want to say to me, GIRA? Would you like to be friends? Sure, we should hang out more often. It'll be good to get to know you better. What? Dude, why am I still facing him in court? I'm saving your promotion here, you know? I'm making Wrestling Revolution something that's worth actually paying attention to. Hey, GIRA, why are you hanging around with somebody like Terry Funk? Because Terry Funk's a face. I thought I was the only friend you needed, but it turns out you've been conspiring with others behind my back? When were we friends? I appreciate your friendship, Rikishi, but nobody can stop me from working with other people. Wanna bet? Let's see how many friends come to your rescue after they see what I do to you. Let's see what happens. Cool. GIRA's still the TV champion. Let's go. He might run you over with a car. Wait, are we going up? Yeah, we're going up, baby. We're number 4. We're number 4. Let's go. Yeah, you can thank me and Tanahashi for that fucking house. Keep it, GIRA appears to have lost momentum and is no longer over with the fans. Jimmy Snuka has developed a heel rivalry with Taz. Kerry Von Erich has been released by Wrestling Revolution. Oh, Tony Land is glad that Kerry... I hate you, man. Fuck you. Bobby Lashley has defeated him. Jusha Thunder Liger is now in AEW. I thought Terry Funk was the clothing thief. He was, but then he was our friend. Has damaged the reputation of World Championship Wrestling by appearing in AEW with their US title. World Championship Wrestling have crowned Scott Steiner as their new US champion. Natalia has left Indie Wrestling Union. GIRA's been booked to face WAC in a television championship match on the 4th week of August. It's better for all of us when a champion like Hiroshi Tanahashi improves Wrestling Revolution's ratings. See, normally, I would agree with you. But it doesn't seem like that there's a lot that we could do right now. Here. Fine. This court has convened to hear the case of GIRA. GIRA's had more lawsuits in this fucking... in this series than he has had world title matches. GIRA's toxic to Wrestling Revolution, needs to be removed immediately. I still have a contract with there and it must be honored. What? Are you kidding me? Contracts come with responsibilities as well as rights. You're not there to cause trouble. Any agreement with Wrestling Revolution is hereby terminated, so I suggest you find employment elsewhere. Dude. Are you kidding me? You know what? New IWGP Tag Team Champions. New Japan Pro Wrestling has become significantly more popular. putting Mitsuharu Misawa on their cover. Chat, where else can we go at this point? Has developed a friendship with Mari Jannetty. Boston Blue Fly has developed a heel rivalry with Rey Mysterio of All Elite Wrestling. Big Bob Orson has left. What the fuck, dude? Hey, GIRA, don't you ever wish that there was I don't want you in my corner, Val Venus. No, I don't need any help. Well, perhaps we could work together some other time. I've always got your back if you need it. I don't need help from friggin... Chat. When is... I just want to know when the disrespect is going to end. In fact, here. Now that we're apparently friends with MDickie. Now that we're apparently friends with MDickie. Is there something you want to say to me, GIRA? Can I join you at Wrestling Revolution? Sorry, I can't see that happening just yet. You need to make yourself more desirable. What the fuck? Okay, WCW, how about that? What do you want, GIRA? This better be worth my time. Can I join you at World Championship Wrestling? You'll have what it takes. Dude! Are you kidding me? Fine, you know what? How long are we gonna be in the frickin' slums, dude? How long are we gonna be in the slums? Top of the game, then back to the indies. That right there is the, Wrestling Empire motto. Has left World Championship Wrestling to go to WWF. Pretty bad when Eric Bischoff says no. Well, that was Paul Heyman. Victoria Hinks has been released by UFC. Tiger Mask disappointed that Victoria Hinks has done a thing. Damien Demento has left for WCW. Hillbilly Jim has gone to UFC. Dude, why can't I get a job anywhere? Seems to have suffered a lull in popularity. Why can't I get a job? I've been keeping an eye on your progress, and I think changes need to be made. You don't have a good enough attitude. Improve your attitude by the 74th week. Dude, Tess walks around like he owns this place and has been making our lives miserable. Do you think you could teach him a lesson? Here's $720 in it for you if you do. Fine, you know what? I'll deal with Tess. Why not? Fine, random encounter time. I'm just gonna punch the shit out of him, chat. Christ on a bike. Fine, give me the fish. Give me the fish. I defended Wrestling Revolution's honor, and yet they betray GIRA. I'm just gonna punch this shit out of him, chat. Unless he puts GIRA down with an armbar. Beat him up with the fish. Yeah, buddy. I'm gonna kill him with the fish. Hell yeah. Get up and eat the fish. It's celebration. Hell yeah, dude. Test skill has risen to 66%. You know what? How is New Japan doing? Bald Sheamus is still fucking crazy. I mean, it's no wonder that New Japan is sinking. There's something you want to say to me, GIRA. Yes! Give me back my freaking job! Dude! What is happening? What the hell is happening? We're over here wrestling in a goddamn gym. It's not even in the arena. In the gym. What kind of bullshit is this? Oh no, and my partner's broken. I can hear him, chat. He's broken. Okay, no, never mind. He's fine. You know what? Red Eye severely injured his forearm. Severely injured forearm in that match and will be unable to wrestle for the next 4 weeks. Even then, she may be a shadow of her former self. Dude! I suffer from being on the losing team. Dude. It's been absolute. Red Eye may have gotten her hand raised, but everyone knows you were the real winner. Why don't we take her to court appeal to have the result overturned? Dude, do I take an injured woman to court? I feel like GIRA's at that stage of pettiness, right? I feel like GIRA just might be at that stage of pettiness to do it. Yes, LOL. Okay, good. Great. Fantastic. Yes, I'll appeal the result. This fight isn't over yet, dude. Red Eye won the battle, but she won't win the war. Thank you, John Blood. Brian Knobbs has been released by World Wrestling Federation. Devon Dudley has gone to USC. The Miz has been released by New Japan. Especial has been released by New Japan. Ken Shamrock has left for WWF. Indie Wrestling Union have crowned Nutcracker Emerald as their new undergraduate champion. Tess and Outback have defeated Midwinter and Tall Order to become the new group project champions. Cool. Junkyard Dog has led Indie Wrestling Union for the WWF. Hey Kira, I popped for that counter you did into an arm drag? Do you think you could teach me how to pull it off? Sure, I'll improve your skill. Thanks for sharing your knowledge, Gira. I hope I can return that favor sometime. I'm sorry to bother you, Gira, but I've been struggling with my finances. Dude, this is the second time that you've come to me for money help. Sure. Why not? Thanks, Gira. This will help a lot. I hope I can return the favor sometime. I hope you can too. Potentially with a job, maybe? I would like that. I would like that very much, my friend. This court is convened to hear the case against Red Eye. Gira, you pressed charges. The history books claim that Red Eye beat me, but everybody knows it wasn't fair. If we walk back every mistake ever made, we have to go back to when Gira was never born. After hearing that, Red Eye did whatever it took to get her hand raised. You're just sorry you didn't do it first, Gira. Dude, Gira keeps taking L's and Gira keeps on taking L's in court. That's insane. Gira keeps on taking. The entire sport of wrestling has enjoyed increased popularity. I'm here to challenge you to a match on the 3rd week of September. Sure, it's a date. Why not? Man. No one is gonna come and help him. GIRA's career might be over, chat. GIRA's career might be in the mud permanently. GIRA is a court jobber. You're so right, though. He keeps on taking massive L's in court. You cheap on Kazuka. Whatever. This better be worth my time. I challenge you to a match. This is on the 4th week of September. Let's talk about this some other time. What do you mean you're busy on the 4th week of September? We can do it tomorrow. We can literally do this tomorrow. Chad, this is the absolute worst. I was sorry to see that show trial, GIRA. They never even gave you a chance to make your case. Alright, well, my plan for this stream has turned out to be a little bit of a bust, chat. It's been a bit of a bust. It's not enough to see you lose in court, GIRA. This doesn't end until you pay... You know what? I'm sorry, Fuck you! Ow! You know what? I'm gonna get him. We both know whatever the hell. I'm just trying to get MDickie. Ah! Where is he? I literally cannot see him. I'm gonna fucking kill you, dude. You know what? I do not want to be here anymore, chat. If things are gonna be this serious, I feel like that we have one more place we could try. At UFC. Sure, we can find a spot for you. We just need to discuss the terms. Hell yeah, dude. UFC time. Let's go. Let's fucking go. 7 guys come to defend MDickie. And yet none of them.
Hello, Mario.
Hello there, long neck boy and crew. Hello, Bit Gamer. We're gonna run an ad here in a sec.
It's almost time for a 90 seconds Cheetos break, my dudes.
Ooh,
it's break time.
On after
Where the
this.
heck's the Cheetos, my dudes?
And while that happens, I'm gonna try and get a title match.
It seems as though the battle between the Nintendo 64 and PlayStation will be directly related to players' choices between Super Mario 64 and Resident Evil. These games are the beachhead of their respective systems. But which is better? Well, let's go through this point by point. Mario has camera motion during gameplay, but Evil only has it during the hands-off cinema scenes. Evil has real voices for its characters, but Mario and his friends are mute. Mario doesn't require you to solve impossible puzzles to win the game, but Evil has you solve tons of them. Actually, you won't solve tons of them. The game is virtually impossible without the hint book. So what's the bottom line? Super Mario
GIRA's
64
finally a
by
real
close
fucking
call.
shooter. He
It's
is.
more visual and immersive than Resident Evil. However,
If
to
things
our
are going to
knowledge,
be like
no Nintendo
this,
64 game
we may as well
voices the
just lean
dialogue
into
yet.
it.
That's a big
right?
mistake, and we hope that changes. It's not just the graphics that players want. The Nintendo 64 is still very young, though. The Super NES didn't start off with
If everyone's
Donkey
gonna
Kong
see
Country
GIRA
quality,
like as
so
this
don't expect
unreliable
tomorrow
worker,
from the N64 today. We still have to wait for
he
the
may as well go
64
where
DVD, as
unreliable
it's called.
workers thrive.
This disc
And that's in the
battle
world of
will be used in
MMA.
The N64 games of the future. All this talk makes us wonder what's going
Against
on with
guys
Sega?
like Steve
Well,
Blackman.
Listen to the soundbite from Sega president Tom Kalinske.
Our technology comes from the arcade world. You can't take arcade games, advanced computer graphics in the arcade.
Where the heck is Jimmy Uso?
Oh, excuse me, we're back, my dude.
Hey, welcome back to Raw.
You can run them on Saturn. Saturn is more advanced than either PlayStation or Nintendo 64. It has 3 32-bit processors in it.
Well, look, Sega, if all this is true, then why aren't you on top? You make a game like Mario 64, and then we'll talk.
I think we have a match we need to run back, chat. I think we have a match to run back. Now that we're here at UFC, we gotta... Hold on. We gotta run back our old rivalry with none other than... Huh? Dude, no! No! We need to run it back! We need to run the rivalry back! Are you kidding me? You can't have shit here, dude. Well, there's one guy that we need to prove our mettle against. It's Steve Williams. What do you want, GIRA? This better be worth my time. I challenge you to a match. Sorry, I'm busy on the 4th week of September. Let's talk about it some other time. Dude. It keeps... Dude. Like, what's the point of giving me this option if I'm never going to be able to do it? Sumo contest against Goldust. I mean, it's Goldust. We can do it, right? Our partner's gonna shock the world. What do y'all have to eat? What you mean? Or Sting? What about... Wait, what about Sting? Press conference. Let's go there. I had to really sell that promo. Welcome to this press conference as we look ahead to GIRA versus Goldust. GIRA, you've yet to put a win on the board. What makes you think Goldust will be the first? I'm more powerful than Goldust, and he's going to feel every bit of it. Goldust, you heard what GIRA just said. How do you respond to that? GIRA is in no state to compete, and I won't be taking it easy on him. Because I'm so hungry that I could eat a... Uh-oh. What could you eat? Wait, do we have any food in here? You got any food in here that I can use for pre-match snackums? Hell yeah. Raw fish, baby. What the hell, a Great Muda? I could eat a Octorok. The Berserker is waste. I can see that. Also, hey Devin, welcome to tonight's Law Boy Club meeting. Alright. No, incentive. Oh wait, that means we have more. Dude, this is actually perfect. Because now GIRA actually has reason to go off on people. A sumo contest. What do you mean? Wait, how do we win this match? Chat. A sumo match. But wait, it's surrounded by a cage. How do you win this? Wait, Monster Energy? I've waited a long time for this moment, and I can't wait to set about achieving my goals. If Bam Bam Bigelow thinks he's the future of UFC, perhaps let the challenge for the middleweight title? In my quest to own all the gold, I might even chase Holly home for that lightweight title. Of course, my ultimate aim is to win the heavyweight title and replace Mark Mero as the face of this company. Sorry to wake you up from that sweet dream, but there's nobody you should be focused on more than Goldust. Now, oh my god, you even have like real life sponsors here like Monster Energy and stuff. And Devour Meals, which are actually pretty good. He needs to be doing his trademark. Yes. That's not fighting. Bite his ear. I love how it's also the octagon too. Wait. What? How do you... Hold on. How do you win the match, then? I like how Sergeant Slaughter is in the audience. Everyone is here. Everyone's in the audience. So wait, like, do I just bait him up here? No! Oh, okay. What? What? Okay. Well, then how do you win? Because a sumo match implies that you need to get them out the ring, right? Like, that's how sumo wrestling works. That's what you do in a sumo match. So what do you do then? Can you lose? A sumo match in a cage. Yeah, like that's what I'm thinking. Wrestling moves in Octagon would suck to take. That Octagon would be closer to a boxing ring than a wrestling ring. No, I know. I imagine that, like falling on the back of it is just not fun at all. So wait, chat. Chat, does that mean that we need to give GIRA some, like, new gear, too? I feel like that means we gotta give him some fresh new gear. We gotta give him some new, UFC gear, right? Some new, like, MMA fits. We gotta give him that new UFC fit, right? We gotta give him the new UFC fit, chat. Come on, come on, Dustin, tap. I'd have to imagine that, like, tap outs are the only way you can win this match, right? Because you can't, like, toss your opponent out of the ring. Because there's a cage surrounding us. Like, now it's, I mean, now it's just cage fighting, you know? But yeah, like, this is actually the ideal scenario, because now, GIRA can just shoot on people. And face no consequences. CM Punk can never have such a fruitful UFC career. Yeah! Fuck yeah, dude. GIRA's required stitches. GIRA introduced... Goldust introduced head of that match. Dude, within 1 week, we've already caused an injury. GIRA's in his fucking bag now, dude. GIRA is in his fucking bag. GIRA's in his goddamn bag. Everybody knows what you did to Goldust. I'll make sure you suffer the same fate. Okay, Dusty. Everybody knows what you did to my boy, the fruit of my loins, Dusty Rhodes. Rather, I'm a Dustin Rhodes. I'll make sure you suffer the same fate. Tommy Hawk has been released by Wrestling Revolution. Sir Strickland has gone to New Japan. Dr. Dash has left Wrestling Revolution to pursue a career at WCW. Everyone is leaving Wrestling Revolution in protest, chat. In protest of GIRA's absence. Has been branded negligent. Negligent? It's MMA! That's what you do! I swear this game is bipolar. You know what? You're probably right. You're probably right, dude. And here I thought that we could just shoot on people without consequence. What kind of bullshit is this? No, it's I thought it was Tatanka at first. It does look like Tatanka. Has risen after going with a retro developer for their 2025 video game, which has since been downloaded millions of times. Mitsuharu Misawa has defeated Sheamus. Big Question has just been released by New Japan Pro Wrestling. Tall Order is pleased that Big Question has him joined Indie Wrestling Union. Ryback has left National Wrestling Alliance to go to New Japan. Sasha Banks went to WCW. Dana White has come down with an illness. Oh no, whatever shall we do? Mark Mero has developed a friendship with Buddy Buchanan. Miss Viola has left UFC. Vern Lane will now be wrestling under the management of Butterbean. Gears recovered from his injury. Tito Santana is now in UFC. All Elite Wrestling has overtaken World Wrestling Federation to become the most popular brand of wrestling based. We take each other to hell with bad GIRA, and I've had enough of it. Why don't we bury the hatchet? You know what? Sure. Why not? Let's make peace. I can't see us ever being friends, but at least we can move on with our lives. Sure thing, Dustin. A shoot fight with Brock Lesnar? No shot, dude. So wait, hold on. I'm being branded negligent for friggin' injuring Goldust in an MMA fight, and now I'm being put in a shoot fight against Brock Lesnar? I think you're right, Ethan. This game is bipolar. But I think we need new kicks. I think we need a new look for UFC, right? We need something new. We need, like, boxing shorts here. New GIRA for GIRA. Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna look at, like, MMA fighters real quick, chat. Might have to steal the name The Crippler from Chris Benoit. Oh no. And that's kind of what's happened, because he retired Bruiser Brody almost. He retired The Undertaker. MMA fighter. Because most of them don't have, like, knee pads or anything like that. Some of them have, like, wrist tape, it looks like. Most of them have gloves. So we need those. Oh, wait. Most of them don't have, like, kick pads, do they? Yeah, most of them don't have kick pads. I just saw that. Well, it's unfair. After all, Brock can't go without Hulk Hogan injectable vitamins. Well, listen. He may have taken his vitamins and said his prayers. But GIRA's got Shining Wizard's magic on his side. Right, and with that, we need gloves, right? We need, like, the MMA gloves. Shit like that, right? We need the purple gloves. Hell yeah. That's more kind of like grayish purple. I don't like that. Hell yeah, dude. That's awesome. GIRA's gonna need to shave his head too, I feel like. Sun like... no. Sun like this, I feel like. We could go back with the spiky look if we wanted to. Uh-oh, it's going to show that unsightly spot on his... It's going to show that unsightly spot on his dome. Well, he's not balding just yet, okay? I like that, though. That shows that the hairline is very much beginning to recede. I'm gonna change up the pattern on, like, the boxers here. Damn it. Wendy's was luckily open, so I got the biggie bag. Fuck yeah. Wait, why do I deserve that? What makes me deserve that?
Hello, Mario.
We're making GIRA the MMA fighter here. I think this with like the crease down here is good. My god, we can have like the CM Punk stars. Although those are more just like the Chicago stars, so if anything. Weekend Warrior. Oh my god, given how like the Weekend Warrior branding is now not in this game because I took it out. We can literally just have Weekend Warrior be his like back slogan. Oh no, GIRA's a murderer now? I mean, he kind of already has been a murderer. Let's just ignore that part. That's his branding now. GIRA the Weekend Warrior. I'm not gonna lie, he's looking legit. He's looking fucking awesome. GIRA is a serial injurer. He really is, though. Every single person that GIRA comes into contact with, he seems to fucking injure them. And now the only place that he could possibly eke out a living is in UFC. Because everyone treats him like a problem. So fuck it. Now he is a problem. Now he is a problem. To anyone that... What the fuck? Yeah, that's what you get, Bruiser Brody, you piece of shit. Get up here. Ah! Ah! That's fucking right. That's what you get, Bruiser Brody. You piece of... you dumb piece of shit. You look ridiculous, GIRA. Did you get dressed in the dark? Listen, Typhoon, I'm not here to have a fight with you. I like that just randomly there's a cemetery. I mean, that's where you gather whenever characters die. Like, genuinely, that's what you do. Alright, we're going into a shoot fight, huh? Hello, JVL. So you want to say to me, GIRA? Would you like this thumbtacks? Alright, I'll take that thumbtacks off your hands. Thanks for thinking of me, GIRA. Hey, no problem. Wait, what? Huh? What was just lit on fire? Dude, Hillbilly Jim. Bring a chainsaw. I don't know if I can, dude. I love how it's like that, dude. All right, here we go. It's time to get in the ring for a shoot fight. GIRA's so jacked, dude. It makes no sense. Why is he so jacked? With Brock Lesnar. Down, 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 do 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 down. All right, time for a shoot fight with Brock Lesnar. But yeah, now it's time for a real fight. Damn! Should have that slap yourself taunt to do on the way down to the ring. That's such a good idea. I might do that. You know what? There's no door they both have to climb in. Oh no. It's no longer wrestling. It's real shit now. What the fuck, dude? Oh no! 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 F5! Holy shit! GIRA's getting beaten pillar to post by Brock Lesnar. The ref got in my fucking way! The referee got in my fucking way. You saw that, chat. The long legs of Brock Lesnar. Dude. Wow. I really tried there too, chat. GIRA sponsored by Red Bull. Dude, that sucked. That sucked ass. That sucked ass, dude. Wow. Gear's profile has suffered considerably after being defeated so easily in that match. Wow. In his first 2 matches, it's 1-1. You win some and you lose some, Gira. Nobody knows which way your career will go yet. There's about as much competition as a fan getting in the ring with Lesnar. Well, that's the mountain we gotta climb. For that counter you did into a Hurricane Rana, do you think you could teach me how you pulled it off? Sure, I'll improve your skill. Thanks for sharing your knowledge, Gira. Well, it's very clear now. It's now very clear that we're no longer in the wrestling halls, no longer in the no longer in the squared circle. This is real competition. My American football is no match for your beer bottle. Yeah, you're right. Leather is typically not beaten by glass. You're very right on that. Well, listen. It is not about the destination in UFC, but the journey in UFC. Alright? And Gira knows that the journey is far from over. Case in point. 307 pounds, chat! Gira is in awe at the size of this lad. Haku has left AEW to pursue a career in New Japan. Rick Rude has left NWA for AEW. Conor McGregor has gone to Wrestling Revolution. Uh-oh. Flick Thug has left New Japan. After 10 hours of comfortable sleep, Gira's energy levels are now at 65%. Kiryu Kazuma has gone to WCW. Surfer Singh is disappointed that Kiryu Kazuma has joined WCW. An online poll has identified Abdul the Butcher as the toughest wrestler in AEW. Okay.
It's almost time for 90 seconds Cheetos
versus
break,
multiple
my dudes.
opponents. Chat, what are these odds that they keep stacking onto me? This is insane. Everyone hates him.
It's break time. Where the heck's the Cheetos,
Raw
my
rolls
dudes?
on after this. Every single person in this business fucking hates Gira.
Psygnosis offers much the same experience.
Chat, I don't even have it in
racing.
me at this point in time to be doing
the
this.
games are so similar.
I don't have it in
me
me to be doing this great.
Genre is so popular.
To be doing
we have yet to see any
this
tracks
right
that
here.
blow us out of our chairs. No huge loops, no gigantic ramp launches, no driving through waterfalls, nothing imaginative. These games are supposed to be fun first and simulation second. Where's the creativity?
We're gonna do this match, and then
Why not
I'm
have
going
a game where you have to find and drive to the
then I'm
hospital
going to get
before your
food,
wife
okay?
delivers her baby? Now
We good with
would
that,
be
chat?
fun. Rather
We good
than
with that?
compete against other racers, you'd have to avoid getting arrested by keeping below the speed limit, obeying the right-of-way laws, and not tailgating. Any foul up and the cops will pull you over. The best part is that you don't know how to get to your location. You have to read the road signs and hope you explore in the right direction. Anyway,
This sounds.
Formula One has
You know
nice,
what? I can't even be
colorful
bothered
graphics and a large
to
number of tracks,
to
17
feign
to be exact,
enthusiasm
but
over
it's
this
still
idea. It's a
jar,
shit
folks.
idea.
A jar all the way.
George Wood has shit ideas and nothing but shit ideas. I can't even feign enthusiasm over it like I usually do. It's just shit. It's shit from a butt. It is poop
Om
from
nom
a
nom.
butt.
Oh, excuse me, we're back, my dudes.
Welcome back to Raw, where we're going to get the shits from an orange. Dude, UFC's like hard mode. What is this? Milk. What, Carmelo Hayes? Wait, oh, that's Wade Barrett. Okay. Okay, well, you know, we're just gonna go into this. Wait, who's already in the match? Who are we facing in this match? It looks like we're facing Steve Blackman, maybe Ronda Rousey. It looks like Umaga, maybe, and JBL. Fine. Oh, Chris Cyborg, can you believe that we've been booked to face each other in this match? Yeah, things could get awkward. I don't even know who you are. Yeah, that's Umaga. That had to go on a hunt for my phone. That's very much okay. It almost drove me insane because it's dead. Oh no. That's very frustrating. Right, we're gonna do this, Meta Ridley. Why isn't this elimination style? What the?
Disqualified.
What? I didn't know you could get disqualified in this game. And yeah, I'm not the heavyweight champion. I'll leave you to figure that one out. Mark Merrow has always been scared. JBL winning in UFC. Cyborg injured her hand. What the fuck? Yet he couldn't win Brawl for All? Very, very true. Man, I'm losing money. What the hell, dude? Come on. It's sad that Jeff Hardy, who's bald, is sad that Matt Hardy left UFC. Listen, Kira, I've been keeping an eye on your progress, and I think some changes need to be made. You don't have a good enough attitude to help with what we're trying to build here. Improve your attitude to 70% by the 4th week of October, or I'll give your spot to someone who appreciates it. Okay, fine. Dana White walks around here like he owns this place, and is making our lives miserable. Do you think you could teach him a lesson? Dude, I've been blackballed by 2 other promotions. I've had 2 other promotions conspire to remove me, and both of them have been successful. There will not be a 3rd time. No, I don't have a problem with Dana White. Even though I kind of do. I don't blame you, GIRA. I'm scared of Dana White, too. You know what? That's fair. It is a fight done out of fear. Alright, so now we're 1-2 in UFC. That's still better than CM Punk. Can we make it dead even tonight at the pay-per-view? I think we can, chat. I think that we can make it dead even. What do you want, GIRA? This better be worth my time. I challenge you to a match. Everybody wants to shine my middleweight title, so get to the back of the line. I'll tell you what, though. At the very least, there's no tag teams. It is all wrestling. Welcome to this press conference as we look ahead to GIRA versus Big Bob Orson. GIRA, could you start us off on how you intend to cope with Big Bob Orson? I'm so much more agile than him that he's gonna feel like he's being double teamed. Big Bob Orson, how do you respond? I've been doing this longer than GIRA, and that experience will make all the difference. Fans all over the world have been waiting for this moment, and I can't believe it's happening? Have they? I mean, after being disqualified from that match, and after losing so handily to Bork Laser, I'm gonna fuck you up, Big Bob Orson. Didn't I fight you, like, in wrestling school, or no? A real straight shooter. Yeah, like, there are no ropes in this. I mean, there are no ropes in these matches either. So. No one here is equipped to deal with what GIRA brings to the table. What the fuck is Big Bob Orson? No one I've ever heard of. What the fuck? I didn't even know that you could do that with GIRA. I didn't even know that GIRA had that, like, in his arsenal. Yes, I know I say that and I realize that I made him, but I didn't know. So wait, can you pin? The referee doesn't want any of this. So wait, can you pin guys in this? In this promotion, or no? Is this all submissions? Oh, it's all submissions or knockouts, I feel like. That's actually a good touch. I like that. Oh no. Urgh. I'm gonna knock you out in the middle of this ring. Well, in the middle of the octagon. Oh my god. You ask GIRA all the questions, and he changes the answers. It has come full circle, you're right. He brings a few of his wrestling moves from other promotions that won't be named. Come on, chat, I'm gonna get that thumbnail shot. There you go. Do not throw rocks at GIRA that has... Do not throw rocks at a GIRA that has a machine gun. Wait, can I, like, jump off the cage? Whoa! Oh, that's it? Yeah, like, this really is just, like... has suffered a loss after incurring a... has suffered considerably after incurring a loss. Cool. He's an animal, chat! That GIRA's an animal. Congratulations on being Big Bob Orson. That raised your profile to 82%. Thank you. Thank you, the great Sasuke. Jim Ross has left Wrestling Revolution to pursue a career at New Japan Pro Wrestling. Oh, I'm gonna blackball that there GIRA from coming back home, son. Cool. King Kong Bundy has left AEW to go to Wrestling Revolution. Bobby Lashley has gone to UFC. Sheamus has gone to Wrestling Revolution. Dusty Rhodes has gone to Wrestling Revolution. Dude, Wrestling Revolution's getting all this talent now, and it's all thanks to freaking GIRA. Chris Cyborg's strength has deteriorated. Woodrow has left UFC to go to NWA. Devon Dudley's association with GIRA has had a negative effect on his attitude. I wonder why. You make your prospects better than ever? Of course. $1,000 bonus as a reward? Of fucking course. Give it to me. What? There's not supposed to be tag teams in this... Okay. There's not supposed to be tag teams in this promotion. Why is there tag teams here, chat? Goldust is still hurt, dude. Goldust is still here, dude. Fine, you know, we're gonna get stronger. Let's get up to 350 pounds. Oh no. Probably best to get some food in GIRA before tonight's match. I wish this had online. Online for this game would be nuts. I don't feel like... I don't know if there would be, like, a meta per se. This feels like a game where, like, there just wouldn't be, like, an established meta. It would just be, well, you know, things happen in the game and you either win or you lose. You know? You must consume protein. Wait, I had to pay for the milk all over again? Man, that's just how strong GIRA is. The vending machine ham. I'm on my way to the cemetery if you need a ride, GIRA. Sorry, I can't go. Alright, I'll leave you to the backstage area. You know where to find me if you change your mind. I don't know why you wanted me to go there anyways. Why does this vending machine want me to drink? What the... Uh-oh. This room is filling up with beer bottles. Dude, you freaking moron. Skinner, are you okay, man? That didn't look too good. Eat into that raw fish that's been in the machine for 2 weeks. That thing is, like, full of maggots at that point. Yeah, like, this isn't even, like, this isn't even, like, what? Why are you teaming me up with someone who's injured? Virgil and Juvent Ud. Why are you teaming me up with someone who's injured? Dude, that's stupid. That was crazy. He caught him in the finisher. He caught him in the finisher. But no, a 2K25. Dude, he's injured. Dude, she's injured. Stop. You do not need to be doing that to her. That's actually like kind of concerning. Can we get a check on that, please? I don't like that. I do not like that we just had to go through that. Why is there suddenly a ring? Because apparently there are tag matches in UFC now. Which, you know, that's not what I signed up for, if I'm being perfectly honest. I didn't sign up for that. Dude, imagine rope breaks in UFC. I am going to kill Juventud. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Virgil will have a table set up at the show offering autographed 8x10s. You're so right, though. That's exactly what's gonna happen. Dude, I'm still not over that 5-man. Just like, imagine Steve Blackman bringing like a kendo stick to the ring. And then like we can't even use it at all. I mean, I know that the kendo stick is kind of his thing. But like, pull that on the Sandman. Can you get him out of here, ref? Get him out of here! Adrenaline and muscle. Wait, I actually have to wrestle? Yes, in fact. Cool. Virgil's profile suffered considerably after being the losing participant. Chris Cyborg status has not been affected. Hey, cool. Look at that. Hey, we're going up. Cool. Yeah, exactly. Six grand. Hey, GIRA, I popped for that counter into the Go-Go Plaza. Do you think you could teach me how to pull it off? Dude, sure, fine. I'll improve your skill. Thanks for sharing your knowledge, GIRA. Yeah, sure, no problem. Peyton Royce has been released by WWF. Bobby Lashley has damaged the reputation of All Elite Wrestling by appearing at UFC with their world title. All Elite Wrestling has crowned Goldberg as their new World Heavyweight Champion. At the age of 37, Perry Saturn has retired from professional wrestling to pursue other ambitions. UFC has become significantly more popular. Goldust has recovered. Ahmed Johnson has gone to AEW. Oh, they signed the Sand Ripper! Best in the world. An online poll has justified John Blood as the most reliable wrestler in the world. Cool. Good for him. Have you ever heard of a wrestler called Jesse Ventura from Hollywood? We're thinking of bringing him to UFC, and we're wondering what you would think about that. Yeah, sure. Sign Jesse Ventura. Eat a reef. If you want to step up to punchy, bake it off. UFC's rings are up because of me, not because Mark Merrow is the champion. You know what? That's probably right. A 3-man sumo contest. First thing Ventura wants to do is call out Hogan. I mean, base. That's honestly pretty base of him, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, let's go ahead and try this. My money is on Ventura. Do you have any advice? Did you know you can combine objects by pressing run and pick up at the same time? What? No, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to challenge him. I wanted to challenge him for his title. What do you want, Gira? This better be worth my time. I challenge you to a match. Come on. Everybody wants a shot at my middleweight title, so get to the back of the line. How much longer do I need to wait? You know what? No. At this point, Gira just wants to break people's... arms. At this point. He doesn't actually care. He just wants... Okay, so this is a sumo match. But is it like a thing where like you need to toss people to the outside? Oh wait, I was about to find out. Wait, huh? How do you... Cool, okay. Yeah, baby! That would have been bad news, Barrett. Cool. 18 seconds. Awesome. Fuck you, Okada. I still remember our time from UFC. From UFC? No, from New Japan. Injured. Here's profile as 18 second. What? What the fuck, dude? No, he couldn't. Okada has sustained extremely serious injury in that match, despite the best. Medics were not able to resuscitate the 37-year-old who has died as a result of his injury. How did he die from that? How? How did he die from that? I just whipped him out the ring! Gira is an unsafe worker. No! What? Huh? The friends and family of Kazuchika Okada are holding Gira responsible for his untimely death. No one's going to fight you now. Waybear's profile has suffered considerably. What the fuck, dude? You can't win! Dude. It may be an accident, but Kazuchika Okada is dead because of you. Before the situation causes any more pain. What? No! No! Fine. Here's that. The funeral. This will smooth things over, but please try to be more careful in the future. How many people are you going to kill, Gira? How many lives must be lost in your hands? That's insane, dude. No one's going to fight him now. Goldust has come down with health. Has established him as a heel. Brian Nonsens left Indie Wrestling Union to pursue career at UFC. The industry will come together this week to stage a special tribute in memory of Okada. No way. We're pleased to... No.
Oh my god. He killed Okada. You bastard.
If you had to guess, what percentage of your matches would you say you've won throughout your career so far? I've won about 80% of my matches. Well, that's all right. Are wrestlers not intelligent enough to calculate percentages? So I guess all your personal feelings, which promotion do you think is the highest right now? World Wrestling Federation would be the one. Fuck you, Conrad. Ow! Imagine your last match being a 10-second sumo match. That would be so funny. You seem to have heat with needles, so tell us why. I have a lot of respect for needles. Needles will be happy to hear that. I think you came across quite well, Gira, so thanks for your time. Dude. Ow. Wait, I'm going to court with needles? Dude, just imagine GIRA's final match being that shit. And he's wrestling on the memorial show. The man that allegedly ended Kazuchika Okada's life. Is at the memorial show. Ow! It was an accident! I may be the heavyweight champion, but we're all responsible for UFC's success. Even me? It means a lot for you to say that, my friend. Thanks for getting rid of Kazuchika Okada! It's about time somebody took out the trash. Tanahashi! I killed him! Importing the death mechanic into the game. 2K25 importing the death mechanic into the game. I love how we've had 2 deaths and neither of them have been ceremonious. It's just like... It's just like, boom, death. Congratulations on being Kazuchika Okada yet again. That raised your profile. No one's gonna beat him ever again, dude. He's dead. He's shuffled off the mortal coil. Thanks for attending the funeral, GIRA. Kazuchika Okada would have been happy with the turnout. Before anybody says anything in public at tonight's show, we thought it might be more appropriate to gather here. Kazuchika Okada would have wanted the show to go on, and he also would have wanted your lives to go on. Okada can never take another step in this world, so we must appreciate the time we have. Just for one day, let's put the fighting and respect each other. Let's put aside the fighting and respect each other as fellow warriors. When Okada shakes off being dead, you better watch out, because they're going to be after you. Oh, my brother! Testify! Dude. I can't believe Okada's fucking dead. Dude! How? How does this happen twice? And so unceremoniously. It's like literally boom, death. How does this happen? Would have been even more epic if the game somehow knew to make him be Reverend Devon? That would have been awesome, yeah.
It's almost time for a 90 seconds Cheetos break,
Welcome
my
to the
dudes.
international press conference for Hollywood versus UFC. GIRA has yet to win at UFC. No, I've won! How about you keep it that way, Ron Simmons? GIRA doesn't have the right attitude for this business, and I'll teach him a lesson. How does UFC side feel? I'm a bigger star than Ron Simmons, and I'll shine too bright for him. Sorry, sounds like a fight you can't afford to miss. So don't forget to buy your ticket. Wait, I didn't realize that we were doing, like, inter-promotional stuff. Oh, yeah, that's right. What the? Okay, cool. Cool. The show's dedicated to the memory of Kazuchika Okada, who passed recently. That's what I'm talking. Okada would have wanted this. I don't know if he would have wanted me to fucking kill him. But okay. Ron Simmons with the Terminator. Chat. I don't even know what to say at this point. Schwarzenegger has a gun? Does he have a gun? Does he have a gun? Oh yeah, Bobby Eaton is apparently reffing the match. It would be a shame if Ron Simmons were to also die here. I won't lie, chat. It would be a real shame if that were to happen. I would kind of laugh if someone
It's
also
break
died
time.
in this match.
Where the heck's the
Bobby
cheaters,
and
my
Trips
dudes?
getting out of the ring and dies. GIRA's so unsafe, dude. This is the second person that has died in the ring with him.
Resident Evil 2 is definitely the devil of a game. It opens with
How does this
full-motion
happen?
video, violent full motion video. Make that very violent full motion video, complete with shots to the head and corpses.
It cannot be.
Has the same gameplay as the original. In that respect,
It cannot
the
be
game's
because of
disappointment,
all of
but
the
no
shots to
one,
the head,
including
right?
us, will be able to resist this game. The gore is not the big draw here, at least not for us. It's the suspense, the eerie music, the awesome full motion video. We really get annoyed with
GIRA just, I'm posting in the server chat. GIRA just killed Okada.
Crap really slows down the game, and we're forced to suffer this unrealistic gimmick every time we
Ron
find a
Simmons
zombie.
dies
And
from a
that
body
happens a lot.
slam.
In fact,
I'm half
you
expecting
usually
that
find
now.
zombies hanging together in huge crowds, making the job even more difficult. People like to say how scary Resident Evil 2 is.
It makes me think of that part of Scary Movie 4 when everyone was breaking their necks during that boxing match.
Resident Evil 2, on the whole, is an excellent game that no one should be without. It's no Tomb Raider, but we shouldn't expect it to be either. Resident Evil 2 does a great job at capturing the horror mood like no other game ever made. The controls still have that watch where you're going, I overshot the doorway feel.
I don't know. I don't know how.
Oh, excuse me, we're back, my dudes.
Hey, welcome back to Raw. I'm still baffled over how he's dead already. Over how Okada died. I am still baffled over that. I don't know what to say at this point. I guess just this. Wait, Schwarzenegger has a gun? Now I have the gun. No! 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 No Bobby Eaton. No Bobby Eaton. No Bobby Eaton. Okay, I was about to say. Bobby Eaton is like, dude, seriously? Again? You just killed someone. Oh yeah, but that was like a year ago. I haven't killed anyone in a while, okay? It's been a while since I've killed anybody, okay? We haven't killed anyone in at least a year. That JBL fan sign, LMAO. Dude, it's so fucking lame though. Imagine that you're one of the greatest wrestlers in the world, right? And and your demise is a fucking Irish whip to the outside. Imagine. It's been a while now since I killed someone since GIRA on death row. It has though. You cannot deny that it had been a while. It's been at least a year in between both deaths, okay? You cannot deny that it's been a while. It's been a while. It's been a while since I could. Nobody lets GIRA use the electric chair because they're afraid he really might use one. That's awesome. That's fucking awesome. Wow. That's bars right there. The only way that this playthrough can end now is if someone kills GIRA, like, in the ring, right? That's the only way this can end now. There is no other way. Like, somebody else has to kill him. There is no other way. Oh my god! That's it. There you go. Hey, Kira, everyone knows that decision was bogus. If you had any decency, you would agree to restart this match and prove you can beat me properly. You know what? I'm gonna let you walk to the back. I'm going to let you walk to the back. Haven't you done enough damage, GIRA? GIRA dies to a neck breaker. Oh, gross. Donald Trump at the announce desk. Quick shoot on him. Also, my tracking phone just died, chat. I'll be back in a second. First, I guess you... I'll be back in a second, chat. We're gonna let Ron Simmons get back to the ring. I'm back, chat. I see that Schwarzenegger intervened. Alright, we're doing it. Dude, are you kidding me? Get up. You only won because you had help, GIRA. Dana White won't always be there to protect you. I don't think anyone is going to be there to protect GIRA after this lawsuit. Okay? Where'd the gun go? I suffered considerably. Oh, don't worry. There's more suffering to go around. Yeah, look at that. Wrestling Revolution, never been more popular. And it's all thanks to GIRA and Hiroshi Tanahashi. I gotta get my VTubing stuff back up, chat. Let's do it. Listen, I helped pay for the funeral services. Maybe they'll give me a lighter sentence. Matt Riddle has left Wrestling Revolution to pursue a career at UFC. Uh-oh. Jake Roberts is glad that he joined. Ackray is sad he left. Miss Elizabeth has been released by Wrestling Revolution. Tori Wilson has left AEW to pursue a career at WWF. Sid Justice is now the IWGP champion. Umaga has left UFC to go to WWE. Yokozuna is sad that Umaga left UFC. Chris Cyborg is back. Big Bob Orson's strength has deteriorated. Billy Kidman has left Indie Wrestling Union to go to NWA. GIRA 2 murders. GIRA 2 murders is incredible. Well, listen. We're just gonna keep training like nothing's happening, okay? We're gonna keep on training like absolutely nothing is going on. Because nothing is going on, chat. Nothing's happening. The court has convened to hear the case against GIRA. Niels, you pressed charges. So could you explain why we're here? Kazuchika Okada died at the hands of GIRA, and he's prosecuted like any other murder. Kazuchika Okada knew the risk when he got into a fight with me. If he dies, he dies. After hearing what you had to say and reviewing the evidence, this court rules in favor of... Needles. Why is that there? You intended to kill Kazuchika Okada, and yet show no remorse for doing it? I ordered you to pay $24,000 in compensation. You better stay out of the ring before you kill anybody else. Is that it? Is that the end of the career? Scott Norton has been released. No, what's next? Your buddy Kenny Omega suggested that you might like to join us at New Japan Pro Wrestling. You're certainly blossomed since we last saw you, and we'd like to bring you back with this deal. Kenny Omega was like, dude, this wrestler is killer. I fucking hate that Okada anyways. I mean, to be fair, to be completely fair, New Japan is one of the places where we haven't killed anybody or injured anyone to the point where they had to retire. Aside from Bruiser Brody, but Bruiser Brody came back, okay? So, not retired, not dead, not severely injured. He is back in the cut. And he didn't know he meant it literally. Hi, Remy Demon. This wrestler is killer, LMAO. That's fucking awesome. Chat, you guys are throwing out bars tonight. Also, hi there, Remy. Welcome to tonight's Lawn Boy Club meeting. Listen. I'll come back. But what if I come on with $8,000 and Ironclad? You're not entitled to that clause. Very few people are that important to the company. But I'm 90%! Okay, fine. How about this? How about $75,000 in favored nations? Alright, I think we got... Yeah, baby! Let's go! We'll pair you with Kenny Omega straight away to help get you over. Oh my god! No way! Hey, GIRA, what do you think of the new outfit our wardrobe department created for you? Dude, what is this Sting tight beat here? This is almost like the time you slit someone's throat with scissors. Now that's a deep cut reference right there. That right there is a deep cut reference. This is some Sting ass gear, dude. How about this? No, I'm not comfortable wearing this. Sorry, did I make it sound like you had a choice? You're my doll and I'll dress you however I want. Dude, we're supposed to be a team, GIRA, but nobody would know it by the look of us. Why don't we wear the same costume as me so we can present more of a united front? You know what? Sure, fine. I'll dress as you, Kenny. I'm glad you agree. People will take us much more seriously as a team if we look like one. You know what? Sure. Why not? Okay, You know what? I would like to change the color of it at least. Fun. We went through 2 different costumes within the span of a minute. Dude, look at how good GIRA is! Like, just in general. Look at how fucking good GIRA is. Best overall wrestler. He's 5% better than Matsuhiro Misawa. Rather than Mitsuhara Misawa. He's 9% better than Kenny Omega. He's literally the greatest in the company. And yet there's gonna be people who are like, nah, no. Joe Rogan, one of the wrestlers in the world. Joe Rogan, one of the best wrestlers in the world. Wait, what? No, there's no way. Best overall wrestler. No, there's no way Joe Rogan is one of the best wrestlers in the fucking world. Well, no, he's one of the best wrestlers on the New Japan roster, which is honestly fucking unreal. That is honestly fucking unreal. I refuse to believe that. Where is he? No. No. There's no fucking way. GIRA's finisher, Irish Whip. You're right, though. You're so right. Dude, we lasted... We lasted 2 months in UFC. We lasted 2 months. Wonder if a wrestler ever really did have that finisher, an Irish Whip. Probably back in like the early 1900s. So like, who exactly is the highest paid wrestler in this company? Highest paid I'm about to get... Dude, I'm about to have my salary match with Joe Rogan. That's crazy. You know what? Maybe the tag team scene is something that GIRA needs.
Hello, Mario.
Zep and Gals. Egg. Hi, Zep. How are you doing? We've taken another soul tonight. We've taken another soul. They say the purpose of travel is to return home and know the place for the first time. Well, I travel all over the world and there's nowhere I'd rather be than New Japan Pro Wrestling. It feels good to be back and I can't wait to show you how much I've grown. Well, it seems like Kenny is not the legal man. Oh, hello. Dude, look at how buff he is. Look at how buff GIRA is. But no, like, he very much is just like video game wrestler type beat. Is S.A. Rios. Okay, but where do you get your mods, OMG? From the Steam Workshop. I download them off of the Steam Workshop. Dude, anytime I enter the ring now, I'm like petrified that I'm going to like just brutally injure someone and kill them. Anytime that I get into the ring now. Do you need to do anything special upon downloading, or do they automatically go where they need to? When you boot up the game, if you select play modded or something like that, like it'll give you a selection that'll like that'll have you choose between play modded or play normally. If you select the play modded option, it will take you to a launcher beforehand and where you can sort of select between which mods will be there and which ones won't be. Kenny dresses you both up as Sans Undertale? That'd be good. So that's where you pick your workshop mods. Got it. I mean, I just picked them on the Steam client. So I adore this game and want to try it modded. It is very fun modded. Alright, Rios. Let's do it. I genuinely cannot believe it, chat. Does it have a limit on how many wrestlers can be in the game? I don't know, but I have quite a few in the game, so I'd have to imagine if there is a limit, it's pretty high. I had to imagine it's pretty high if there is a limit. Cool. Dude, why is there so much botched moves? Oh, hey. It is honestly kind of nice to be back in New Japan. Hey, Kenny. I mean, the IWGP Tag Team titles would be GIRA's first, or rather second tag title ever. My god, they're having a ring... They're having a Matt Classic in the ring right now. I blame the fan with the Botchamania sign. Kenny, what are you doing? Sid needs to be outside yelling during the match. Sid? Why Sid? Is he gonna say that he has half the brain that you do? Oh. Wait. Yeah, why is Sid out here? Yeah, like, why is Sid out here? Kenny, I got him. You take care of this clown. I got a Rios. No, I'm calling my shot here. I want the world championship. Wait, what are you? Okay. and Sid is just dead on the floor. Sid trying to break his leg again. Haku looks so strange, dude. Kenny, he's right there. Just end him. He's right there. Just fucking end him. But no, this game is very, very fun. I have absolutely loved it. I have absolutely loved this game. I'm petrified by anything I do in this game now, chat. I do not want any more blood to be on GIRA's hands. We cannot afford that. See, like, the thing is, I want GIRA. I want him to have, like, a warrior's death, right? But I simply don't know if that's going to happen. Because GIRA's just too good, you know? Like, the only way that he's gonna die in the ring is if I face Lesnar or something, right? I genuinely do not think that there's a single guy in this game that can go toe-to-toe with GIRA and take him to the limit like he has so many other guys. at this point. Because his fucking body count now is honestly legendary. GIRA's body count at this point is honestly legendary. Because you have Ricochet and Kazuchika Okada in the grave, but you also have Bruiser Brody almost retired, and The Undertaker actually retired. How can you not say that he's the greatest of all time? Oh yeah, that's right, because he killed 2 people. Yes, that's right. GIRA's reached the limit of New Japan Pro Wrestling's popularity and must find new audiences elsewhere. Well, listen, we're here to improve the product, okay? We're here to improve our old stomping grounds. And look at that, Wrestling Revolution's already falling without GIRA. It's already floundering. I hear your new contract is worth $7,500 per week. Okay, I don't know who you are. Wait, what? Hold on. Billy Kay has gone to WWE. Hacksaw Jim Duggan has been released by WWF. Double Saruta has developed a heated rivalry with Andy Kaufman of Hollywood. As his contract stipulates, GIRA's salary has risen to $8,300 to match that of Joe Rogan. We're pleased to be joined in the studio by GIRA of New Japan Pro Wrestling. So how do you like working for the Great Muta at New Japan Pro Wrestling? This is where I belong. The Great Muta will be happy to hear that. I'm sure you'll be there for a long time yet. Everybody knows Kenny Omega is your partner. So, tell us how that relationship is going. I love teaming with Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega will be happy to hear that. I'm sure you'll be together for a long time. Yeah. Have you heard of someone called Dino Bravo of Wrestling Union? Dino Bravo is an asshole. Well, let's just hope you don't bump into Dino Bravo. You might regret saying that. I think you came across quite well, GIRA. Dino Bravo is an asshole. Like, who's gonna say that in the big 2025, right? In the gargantuan, humongous 2025. Let's see here. All right, Kenny.
It's almost time for a 90 seconds Cheetos break, my dudes.
I think that we're due for a tag title shot, chat. I mean, the guy did get shot by the Mafia, apparently. Did he? I never knew about that little lore tidbit.
It's break time. Where the heck's the Cheetos,
Right,
my
I got
dudes?
one more in me, chat. I'm gonna try to challenge for the title. And if we can't get it here, then I'm going to start wrapping up, okay?
Uh-oh.
Oh my god. I'm gonna try to get it, chat, during the break.
In Bart's Nightmare by Acclaim, everything about this game is top-notch, except maybe the play control, which could use a little adjustment. The game is virtually impossible to beat, making it overwhelmingly frustrating for younger players.
Couldn't do it,
Even
chat.
older players will probably not win.
But wait,
the
what
game.
about the Berserker?
Like all Bart games, the key to success is practice. The controls for the Bartzilla level are as follows. To shoot fireballs, press right.
No!
Press up or down. To shoot lasers...
Chat, you're not gonna believe what just happened.
To shoot lasers at the railway, press A. To shoot lasers downward, press B. To stand still, press left. Other hints. Try to get grape squishes, and in the bloodstream level, be sure to touch Slimin' Joe whenever he appears to blow him up.
Oh, no.
Good luck. The game is hard. If you've always wanted a Bart game but couldn't decide on which one, look no further than Bart's Nightmare.
So, chat. I went up and challenged the Berserker to a match. Rather, I went up to Shinsuke and challenged him to a match, right? And he denied me. So then I tried the Berserker. And he accepted. But the match is an 8-man
Oh, excuse me,
elimination
we're
tag
back, my
match.
dudes.
The exact, which is not what I wanted. It is not what I wanted. All I'll say is that Kenny Omega being part of the Long Boy Club is pretty fucking based. Alright, well, I got one more match in me, Chad, and then we're gonna call it, okay? I got one more in me, and then we're gonna call it. What the? What the? Don't worry, Gear, I'll take care of Matt Dickey. Hey, hell yeah! Hell yeah, Kenny. Exactly. You know what? You didn't deserve GIRA's help. You fucking didn't deserve it. Yeah, the surfboard stretch. Let's go. Oh no, Kenny, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Kenny. I'm sorry. Aw, there you go. I'm sorry, Kenny. I'm gonna fucking kill you, Matt Dickey. You will complete my trifecta. I guarantee it. What are you doing here, GIRA? You're supposed to be in there by... Listen. Listen. I'm just settling a fucking score, okay? Holy shit! Look at Matt Dickey! Thanks for getting rid of Matt Dickey. Huh? What do you mean getting rid of him? Should have finished the job, GIRA. I won't stop until you're finished. Okay, fine. You know what? Get up then. Get up then. Joe Rogan, let's go, dude. Hey! Fuck you. Man! And he left that podcast room none the worse for wear. Well, don't pay attention to the bloodstains on his pants. That's fine. That DDT is a nice finisher. I hope I'm never on the wrong end of it. Thank you, Ring Rust. Into the curtain. Just a second. Ring Rust? Yeah. Yeah, Ring Rust. You're so fucking heavy, dude. He's so heavy. How? What a unit. Yeah, I got one more in me. Here we go. Long Boy Club. Let's do it. Oh, yes! Oh, no! Not the burning hammer! Oh no! Fuck you, Keiji Muto. I haven't forgotten. Whoa, he's so fast! Funny imagining Paul Bearer taking a burning hammer. Kudos to who pulls that off. Holy shit! They're trading holds on the floor? Where's Kane when you need him? Leg lock! Let's go! For those that like to keep count, that was my 6th win. Hell yeah, dude. GIRA has reached the limit of New Japan Pro Wrestling's popularity. Cool. Has suffered considerably after being the losing participant. Great. Here's Kane when you need him. It's gotta be Kane! Man, that's it? That's all we got? GIRA versus Pallbearer. Great, we won the match. Now! You know, Jumbo Tsuruta, you've had it out for GIRA since minute 1. I'm not here to start fights anymore, but if you are not going to take it, here comes Haku. Well, there goes GIRA. Okay, I know I just said what I just said. Has renewed his contract with Wrestling Revolution. He can fight everyone. Brian Pillman has been released by Wrestling Revolution. Tommy Dreamer has been released by AEW. Cool, good. Steve Blackman has been released by UFC. We're cussing and disputing. Wrestling Revolution. Red Eye is sad that Takada has left Indie Wrestling Union. Outlaw Eaton has left for Wrestling Revolution. Kerry Von Erich has left Indie Wrestling Union to pursue a career at WCW. Kane Royce is in Wrestling Revolution. And Brian Pillman is now in WWF. Oh, we're already going to war with Jumbo Tsuruta? That's crazy. Yeah, GIRA's establishing himself as a bit of a tag wrestler, isn't he? He's establishing himself as a bit of a tag team guy, playa. He's so fucking big now, dude. It makes no sense. Why is he so... How? How did he get so jacked? It makes absolutely no sense. He'll be like, I respect you, Booker Man, before yeeting out of there. Brian needs to come in with the gun. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good. I think that we're okay. I think that we're A-okay for tonight, chat. Yeah, GIRA might not be that great of a person now that we actually kind of look at him critically, you know? He might not actually be that good of a person now that we're looking at him, because every single time, or rather like any time that he's in another promotion, he either brutally injures someone or kills them. By accident, mind you, but he still kills someone. So, yeah, that's kind of where we are with that. And honestly, it's kind of incredible to think we only have 2 more years left of this game to go through before we end up retiring GIRA. We haven't quite had that big banner world title run that we wanted yet, but there's still time to do it. There's still time to get out there and do it. So we're going to be doing that next week on Tuesday. I'll be back on Saturday with some Yakuza Like a Dragon, which I've been still having a lot of fun with. But for now, let's go ahead and let's raid out to somebody. Let's go ahead and raid out to someone here. Let's see. Let's see here. Honestly, don't know, chat. I honestly do not know. Not gonna lie. I'm leaning towards raiding into Maxwell again. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and do that. GIRA is an old man now. I mean, he's almost 43, so he's getting up there. He's getting up there, and it's gonna be sad for us to see the end of the character as we know him. But maybe some things will change. Yeah, Maxwell Flyweight. That's what we're gonna do. Long Boy Club Love. I'll put it in there. Right there. We're gonna start the raid there. Thank you all once again for hanging out with me this evening. This has been an insane ride. It's been an insane stream. This has been an insane game, an insane playthrough. If you've not done so already, please follow the channel. Consider following the channel. Go over to my Discord, where I am still taking suggestions and submissions for created characters in my GM mode for WWE 2K24. That will be our send-off for the game. Follow me on my socials. They're all right there if you've not done so already. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on TikTok. I have a VOD archive channel. You will find everything right there. And yeah. Thanks again, everyone. I will see you all on Saturday. I've been Giraffe Stev, and remember, when you are in the Long Boy Club, you're in it for life. I'll see y'all later. Bye. Gears of Murder. Bye.